Hey, oh, everybody, and welcome back to some Division 2 playoff action here in the WARNO League Season 3. So I'm once more joined by the lovely Claw right here,
Hello, everybody.
and we're going into a really hot Division 2 that is. A lot of high-level players, some well-known names, some new names here, trying to fight it out. And we're gonna start at the bottom of the bracket here with Bendover versus Joker. Joker has been playing since season 0. Bendover is new to the league, but has really risen through the ranked system lately as well, and came in here as first place in Group D, beating Jeremy in a tiebreaker. But Joker did take a loss against AMDoozy, so interesting setup here for this whole. Joker, though, with a lot more experience in League under their belt, so this will be an interesting one, especially as the matchup here is going to be an interesting one as well, as we have two older divisions here fighting it out. On the right side for Joker, 4th Motorisierte Schützendivision of the NVA. But on the left side, we have the 3rd US for Bendover. So, what do you think about that matchup, especially from the 3rd US perspective here?
So, third US here, I kind of am thinking that against the forward deployment, you can't do anything. You can't do anything, at least not yet. You have to wait a long time, and you have to try to get your recon and your early opener units in such a position that they can prevent Joker Tard from basically doing any more aggression than it is necessary for third to let them have. The opener is the worst place for third US to fight. We are already seeing the M60 M60 weapons teams. We're seeing a bunch of scouts going out there. We're seeing the M150 A1. The weak yet very significant recon tab needs to organize an actual front line to keep Joker in the Zulu and Oscar spots. The Lima industrial area needs to be defended on long ranges, if at all possible, because long ranges is where the Abrams and Bradleys work the best. The infantry is going to be significantly weaker for the Americans, so they want to be in buildings if they want to actually keep on engaging. It's very unlikely that they're going to have numerical superiority, anyways. And the only real attack that you can do as third here is to try to go to Zulu, try to take Zulu's northwest corner and some of the maybe like two buildings and a couple of the forests nearby, and then just hold it while having your own fighting fire support line northwest of the zone. So just try to contest the zone, just sit there, and if you can do that, and you can have your CEVs and your Chaparrals and your Bradleys and likely all the rest of the, especially all the 50 cals. You can just keep them shooting for long enough. The enemy may not be able to push through you, and I don't know if that is what they're thinking here. I think these positions here are still quite defensive, even though an Abrams and a CEV have been bought. There is no there is a leader, but it's going to a different direction. So I'm feeling that Bendover is most likely recognizes the divisional matchup here and is trying to is going to try to hold here. Joker is employing the skiffic recon halo tactic of just blindly sending one for 30 points out there. So he's gonna see this. He's gonna know what's coming, and it's most likely not gonna be a surprise for Joker. The third US units. This is a pretty standard though very powerful combination. And yeah, I think if the game starts out passive, Ben will have a chance. Bendover. We don't know if this is the former UK Independence Party candidate and adult filmmaker Bendover, but it could be, you know. So let's root for him. We need more 60 plus like old guys in the league, I think. So it'll be fun to have
Absolutely.
him.
More old people in gaming and in professional gaming, especially. And yeah, MI2's here, spot going deep. Joker obviously does what fourth needs to do here, getting the grab on both spots with a lot of Fallschirmjägers here. The East German ones being special forces, as they're one of two special forces regiments that the East Germans had, together with the Kampfschirmerkommando. And they get the amount of territory that they want to get with the opener. You get into both center zones, you get even a bit deeper there in the north, with the Fallschirmjäger Einsatzgruppe going a bit closer. And that's exactly where the 4th Modschützen here wants to be. Though obviously you need to keep up the pressure here at at 3rd US outside of the point tick. The point tick is nice, but eventually the 2+1 zones that you get in the middle, they won't get you there super quickly. So if the enemy can trade away points from you, they will be able to push you back, and they have the late game. They have M1A1s, they have Apaches, and so on that they can use. The Cavs can be pretty annoying against your infantry as well, and the East Germans don't have the highest level of penetration in their deck. So to kill tanks, they kind of need their Air Force, which with F-15s, with the best F-15s in the game, can be stopped here.
Yeah, the only good ones, some would say. There are now 2 heavy mortars on the field for bend over, and these will likely be smoking off the 2 most likely sidelines for ATGMs to be. The T-55 AM2 east of the zone is one of these positions, and the Fagot south of the zone is the other one. And yeah, both of these are immediately targeted by the mortars, which will, after their extremely fast aiming time of 11 seconds, start the salvo. By the time the smoke is on the ground, the reinforcements will likely be by the time the reinforcements get in here, both the smoke will be on the ground, so they can be pushed by other units, and the fighting has already started. Joker has chosen to play this passively, which has meant that the forward deployment advantage is only showing in the 400 give or take lead that he has right now. But the Fagots are still, one of the Fagots at least is still firing, though the smoke now covering both of the main AT weapons. Oh no, but the Abrams does get routed, no side shot this time, though that's quite bad luck for the Abrams, frankly.
The Fallschirmjägers, though, got decimated by the Cav, and Cav pushing forward. 2 Cavs here. There is not enough AT there. MiG-23 AT planes coming in, getting a good hit there against the M1A1, but it has 18 frontal armor, so even a 30 damage missile doesn't quite one-shot it. And that is a problem here. Now, this Cav in the town, there is no high pen... There's no Modschützen here. The lack of high penetration AT weapons is an issue. The MiG-23 gets the job done in the end there, and is able to get out alive without any damage even. But the CEVs here, the combat engineering vehicles, they are a big issue. They can siege down your units because they ignore cover bonus, and yeah, really good usage of those here so far by Ben. Getting in with a lot of infantry, and the lack of good RPGs made that a lot more troublesome than Joker Tart hoped for.
Yeah, the Fallschirmjäger SMGs, or the Schwere, aka heavy machine guns, those only have 13 pen RPG 18s, and that's just not enough. That only does a single damage against the Sev, and it can't even reliably kill the Bradleys with the Bradleys of 4 and 5 armor. And so right now that the long-range engagements are being controlled by the smoke mortar so efficiently, even though the CEV might be getting hit by the MT pack, the Rapier's 18-pen missile, the infantry is getting in completely unmolested here, and even a leader could step just a second and actually contest the zone here. So far, Joker did not achieve has not achieved any engagement successfully, and Ben Dover is controlling this very deliberately, that attacking only after all the pieces were set on the board, and capturing both neutralizing the AT weapons and capturing one of the main recon zones. The other recon zone, which is where the Aufklärers and the KPZ T-55 is, the north forest of the zone, that has not been captured yet. So it was able to spot for the AT plane. The AT plane is coming once again here.
Ooh, losing line of sight this time around though, and the double chaparral there is a good play. The forces of Wendover have been taken out partially. Like Recon Bradley has fallen, two CVs have been fallen eventually. The Modschützen now on the front line. Those have the RPG 7VL, a good bit more potent. And there is still a decent amount of T-55s. The Abrams is still not up back to full hit points, so maybe with another AT plane you could get lucky there. But it's not going to be easy here. I like the Conqueror's SPW here in the south. If that could maybe find the Chaparral, that would be pretty big, for example, as then the AT planes could come in a bit easier, but the smoke does return. MiG-23 AT trying to get another shot off. Chaparral will try to push it back again, and the Modschützen are around, but so many of them got killed off by the CVs and Abrams by now. Here goes the MiG-23 as well, and the amount of infantry lost here, not great for Joker. It's pretty impressive how Wendover was able to leverage those support units here so far.
Yeah, I mean, it is Joker just had a failure point in the unit combination, not having those 18-pen RPG-7s out there in the front line. Now you have one of them, but the fighting has moved into a position where like the two of the Bradley and the Abrams can just keep on shooting while without any counter, because there is so much map control. The town fight is not in a small angle that can easily be held by infantry, but instead in a wider front. And there is an Mi-24D out on board right now, and it can fire 20-pen missiles quite inaccurately. Conquerors also have 20-pen. The T-55s and the Rapiras have 18-pen with their Bastion missiles, but the AT planes that we have seen heavy investment in that are being bought at the veterancy, because the AT planes are both cheap and numerous, but really just not that reliable. They have abysmal accuracy, and the Chaparrals are reliable. The Chaparrals don't need to be constantly reloaded, resupplied, so the chaps can reliably keep on whittling away, even especially the cheap planes, but even the more important bombers, the cluster bombers that might be coming in sooner.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive where the Chaparrals are placed. They're so close to the front line so that the planes had to come in. F-15 was around as well and was able to get one of the MiG-23 before it got too close to the front line as well. And those are all problems here now, that due to the loss of Fallschirmjägers, it's going to be tough to keep on winning in the town. 700 points achieved by now, that's a decent start, but you need to get a couple better traits here, and the Abrams, the Bradleys, the CVs still continue firing, but the fire support of Joker got picked off time and time again. We're down to only one T-55 on the front line, and there is 2 Abrams already. There are a good couple of Bradleys with autocannons that you don't get as the East Germans. One of the few things that you really lack next to high pen. But the speed advantage here really not that useful on this map after all. It got the points, but 800 points is not enough at a 10-minute mark to really have a massive impact, and the front line here is starting to fall apart, and then the 3rd US can go towards Alpha, and at that point it would get pretty critical.
Yeah, I think one of the thing is that 4th Moto could have done things earlier on in the game. They could have attacked. The thing is that it's just very difficult. A single tank, well controlled, and a couple of your opener recon, it's like a Kiowa warrior hanging back there, could have easily covered the attack on recon. So what Joker should have basically done, or could have done, would have been to start playing air spam. But air spam is not reliable, especially not when your opponent has the Eagles with the AMRAAM missiles, the 65 accuracy, 8,000 meter missiles. Now we're seeing the AMRAAM go through here and try to driving off an AT plane. I think one of the things that Wendover realized is that because they've been doing so much damage and the attack and the fire support has been so overwhelming, there are significant gaps in Joker's defenses, and one of those gaps has been the lack of the coups. Now Coup is finally here, But this is 800 points now, and the tanks are and the Bradleys are largely unharmed. They're going to have to attack into a wave of all right ATGMs, but there's going to be so many replacements for the for everything. We're already seeing like 3 recon units come out here, and I think Bendover has more than enough time to just keep building.
Yeah,
There's
they would
no reason not to unless you want to attack.
would be a +4 if they get into the rear here. They have a good amount of units assembled here on the front line now. Chaparral's pushing forward. The F-15 got another kill there, and the coup arrived now, but that's after the 3 AT planes already went down. There could be still some cluster SU-22s or so in the deck, but issue also, T-55s here, we only have 2 on the battlefield right now. They are not numerous enough. They have ATGMs, but only dealing 1 damage against the frontal armor of an Abrams. One of the Abrams at least went down to one of the MiG-23s, but it's too little numbers here right now, and I don't see a massive play here right now. I want to hype anything up here for you right now, but I'm looking at what we got here, and it's not super much right now. Like, no ARM 70 spam, no big sneak attack in the rear, no helicopter spam, which was another big way to victory in the past, but obviously has been nerfed quite efficiently since then. So that's most likely not a way here that we will see from Joker trying to achieve victory either. There are 2 Hinds on the battlefield, but they are not in the position to really dominate anything. And yeah, holding 800 point advantage over the next 25 minutes against a heavy hitter like 30US, not going to be easy. Bradley gets sniped there at least, but you need to get a lot of important kills here with a limited toolkit.
Yeah, this would be a difficult task for a lot of tank divisions, packed tank divisions at least. And even if you could mass a large number of T-72s or something, you could be basically victim to the completely same strategy, and maybe even worse, because the tanks could lose you units quite quickly against Apaches. And I just look at all the. Imagine if there was just another point. Just put another point somewhere. Just mix them up a little bit. There is nothing Joker can do outside of try to turtle for 26 minutes, and I don't think that's good map design. Now, one of the main weapons here that is actually superior to what the Americans have is the 9M117 Bastion missile with the hyper-modernized T-55 AM2Bs and the Rapiras. Now, it outranges sub-damages, doesn't do as much damage as an ITO or a TO2, but it outranges them, is very accurate, and flies way faster, which means that the T-55s and the Bastions can duel the Bradleys. And if they are not the Bradley M2A2 models, which have extra armor, they will be easily destroyed by at least some of the 4th units. And the AM2s are being taken at 0 vet to allow for maximum capacity. But even then, there's going to be more than enough Abrams to fight them off.
Yes, you need 10 of those missiles to kill Abrams, no matter which version you hit. So, as they have 18 frontal armor, so the M1A1s here, they are going to be brutal once they reach a number of 3 or 4 on the battlefield and can push forward. We see another M1A1HA coming up. That's even a bit overkill here, maybe in this scenario. Though with the 22 pen gun, you make easy work of the T-55As there quite quickly as well, and it's Bendover now actually going for the south. They have the time here. They just want to check it out. 1 Bradley goes down to a Conquerors. Helicopters try to rotate around as well. That might be the one way to overstep here, though. If you step out of your AA umbrella, if you get yourself side-shotted a couple too many times, and then maybe Joker can find a way towards Lima or so into the rear, that could potentially be an option. Air-to-air combat here. 1 Eagle goes down, but the Coup's are out of ammo, so one of the Mi-24s goes down in this fight as well, as the F-15C AA comes around again. Estrella's not able to hit it, and 2 D-20s. They are good artillery pieces, but I'm not convinced that they will swing this fight super much. Infantry getting a bit wasted there by bent over though, and you can't afford to waste a lot of units as 30US, as your deck is expensive. So this mispositioning here currently, I'm not quite sure that the stretching of the units at 30US right now is the wisest choice, as Conquerors and Fagots fly around a lot. T-55AM 2B goes down to the Fireteam Dragons though, so that's still a good kill there. Engineers going down on the other side. Conquerors trying to get a kill onto the M1A1. M1A1 is pretty stressed out, so it doesn't find the hit, but neither does the Conquerors. So in the end, it's still pretty fine here for Bendover, and the Conquerors has to disengage.
Yeah, Bendover is doing the standard very well performed. I really like seeing this push where you have a single scout units and then some tanks behind it. The scouts are out there to make sure that every that the guns keep firing, that everything is always spotted, and that way the quite fast M1A1 Abrams at 65 kph can easily move around and try to get in at least some places to do some damage, and that's going to be the way to pay back the very high cost. I think the attack down south wasn't necessarily the best. The best, considering it allowed this Conqueror's vehicle to fire all 10 of its missiles. And oh no, now the AT-1, the Kokon missiles side-shotting the M1A1 HA.
Not quite able to find the kill, and the frontal armor damage will be more limited, so the M1A1 with still 2 hit points would still need 2 hits to get killed off. The leaders go down in the south. The Vulture-Makers SMG though, they do a good amount of damage there against the infantry. They are good special forces, so they enjoy these engagements against one individual units there. MiG-21 in the north gets the hog as well. It might be that the 3rd US is overstretching a bit right now. There's a lot of losses here. This is not the best engagement, so Joker has to be careful to not overstep their welcome either, as they can't afford to lose their helicopters, but they get a kill here on the Chaparral in the south. They have to reload though, but decent damage there still. And they actually even go for a counterattack in the north, which, with a decent amount of kills there lately, might potentially work out. Another Chaparral goes down, so air spam becomes more likely. We saw an F-15 dying on the other side as well, but at the same time, CV finally arrives in the south, finally gives Bendover a +1 tick, though this is still dangerous play there. Even the CV there, moving towards the Vulture Makers, might still get sniped. Is Bendover overstepping their welcome here?
Oh no!
Yeah, get sniped there.
This is a prime case of losing sight of the target. Even if this attack works out, and looking at there being no infantry reinforcements coming to Oscar, and the only reinforcements are going to be Conquerors trying to quarantine the town at Oscar. I think this is going to work, but completely needlessly putting the main attack at risk. The HA Abrams is getting out there to do some work, and it has not been repaired yet. An Apache ATGM is out there, but there is not a single Chaparral out there to defend it from diving enemy fighters, even MiG-23s, even MiG-21s. Like, this is all the expensive units. They need to be together. If they were together, they could have engaged every part of Joker's attack here and punished it. But the points were used to kind of over-attack down south.
Yeah, we see now missiles flying around. Joker is actually starting to get back into the zone here. And the Apache is out. MiG-21s could die for it. But outside of that, the strong missiles of it and the autocannon could be a problem. Strela currently out of ammo. Can't really engage there. And we have Phantoms coming in. One Mi-24 went down. Second one pretty low, has to disengage there. Coop still around. We have a Phantom with HE coming around, a Phantom with cluster. Mi-24 will go down there. Coop's not able to get a hit on target. Reloading right now and missing again. Unfortunate there for Joker. It's 0 red Coops. They're not the most accurate missiles out there, but still unfortunate to get that many missiles here. And the Apache is a problem. MiG-21s are needed here really to get rid of this thing as fast as possible, as otherwise it will deal with most of the units. MiG-21 AA, 2 coming in. Oh, good micro there with the Apache though. Missiles not hitting it, and it only gets a bit of gun damage and will get out alive, whilst the F-15 Eagle comes around again, slaps the MiG-21, and tough situation here. Strela's coming in now. It's Joker who only needs to hold on though, so if Joker can take back the northern town, there might still be some game here.
Yeah, I mean, bend over. Basically, if at +2, Ben is going to win this very easily, and the counterattack for Ben is coming in, but it is going to be 0 vet engineers and a military police unit, and this is not going to be enough. And if Bend over loses basically any of the very expensive units here, one of the 2 Abramses, one of which is very highly damaged, or the Apache, the complete game is at risk right now. It is all going to come down to 41-point accuracy KH-23 AT missiles.
SPW in danger, gets the CV there, important kill. Phantom's coming around, MiG-23 there in danger as well. Coops really not wanting to hit anything here today, as they now try to go for the Phantom, missing there as well. I'm not quite sure if it's the positioning that maybe has some weird line of sight issues. M1A1HA Abrams goes on down on the front line though. I'm not quite sure what the artillery, I believe, just finished it off.
Artillery targeted it.
Yeah, artillery.
He was spotted by the motor shoots and SVD.
Really good job done there. So that's a good one. One Abrams and the Apache still to go through though. And the Strela's not in position to shoot that Apache down. The Apache, really the biggest nuisance. They already fired 14 Hellfires. That's not something you see every day. And is now going to reload and then come back with more troublesome news.
Yeah, a bunch of Bendovers infantry is currently sitting around at Oscar instead of getting back in here. But with the M113s and the fact that Joker is resorting to goddamn PP-76s for fire support right now, it might be that there's just not enough tanks here to keep it up for fourth moto.
Yeah, the Coops really not wanting to find the kills here. Strela's on the front line, not enough fire support either. We have the Shilkas, they got buffed a bit in range, so with a bit sneaky play, you can do damage to the Hellfire, to the Apaches now. You still get outranged by them, but not by as much anymore. So that's an option there too. Whilst the Mordschützen still hold out inside the town, but there is not enough infantry right now to really say this town is controlled by anything. The Phantom here coming around again. Coop gets another missile out. Does miss another time here. And the other Coop had to get the reload first. The artillery piece is currently silent. Mordschützen getting overwhelmed, and it looks rough for Joker here, trying to get back into the town. More and more infantry coming out, but there's enough blue infantry here, most likely for Bendover now as well. It's an F-15 in the sky. More infantry coming in. The Apache doing a really good job here, rotating around again. And the Strela still empty.
Yeah, just the fact that there are now 3 Abrams on board and the Apache is out here. The Coups. The Coups really are the Coups. If you disrespect the Coups, if you don't buy them in the opener, they will feel left out and they will take it out on you. They will refuse to work. The Coups, so this is the logic here. If you don't buy the Coups right at the opener or very soon after, they will start doing work to rule and just do a bad job. And that's my explanation for this. But yeah, just the M1A1 Abrams is an excellent support tank. It is maybe alongside the other Abrams models and the T-55, some of the best fire support you can get in this game. The problem with it is that you get too much in that it is too expensive. So if you lose a bunch of them in a quick succession, if they get too much damage and you don't happen to have a supply on board, if the enemy uses numbers to stun down your Abrams and then kills it with a bunch of cheap units, all of this can happen. And if you lose the Abramses, your rest of your units generally won't be powerful enough to counter the enemy, whether it be with infantry or with Bradleys only, because the Bradleys have the weakness against the Bastion missile. And the Abramses here did an excellent job. They were not used riskily. The CEVs were used riskily after it was found out that the enemy did not have AT weapons that can reliably kill them, and that was the right choice. And that obviously did so much damage in the early game, in the opener, that it completely negated any forward deployment advantage via just sheer kills.
Yes, and the AA play there pretty strong as well. A bit fortunate against the Coops, though, as we said earlier, they're not the most accurate AA missile out there, so you can't super rely on them either, especially against higher ECM planes like the American ones. But the Mi-24s, they're suffering under a single Phantom, one shooting down 3 Mi-24s and 2 MiG-21s. That is a painful picture for a division that is so reliant on their air support, and that makes it somewhat troublesome here. So that's really the second basis here. The clear air support, and then the Phantom, the Apache was the nail in the coffin in the end here, killing off CVs and just keeping that point in the north so Joker couldn't get enough units shuffled in there again, even killing things with the 30mm autocannon, and that was a problem. So yeah, Ben with the 1-0 here. I believe Joker has some play here. Like, there were some nice positioning, but the composition in the early game was just not quite going their way, and I'm not pretty sure 4th is the greatest division for that map anymore. It was in the past, but I don't think it's really that much of a turtle meta anymore. So, and 4th has been losing that capability a bit as well. So I'm interested to see what we will see in the next game. We're gonna go into a short break, and then we can again come back with the next one. So here we return, and went over up 1-0, and also sticking with the US divisions here, but bringing the polar opposite of 3rd US this time around. But Joker is staying with the 4th, and actually playing kind of the same division against, as Joker is playing 4th mech, the Polish one, and Bendover is playing 6 US. So it's light infantry versus light infantry this time around. Though one has T-55s, the other one only has M48s, but it has the better air spam. And it's going to be interesting here, as we have a pretty different map with Kreider as well. And once more, if you want to support these guys, you can do so on Matcherino, guys, and get us further in our goal to reach a funding of $750 and get us to the next stretch goal, which would mean that Division 3 winners get a bit of the prize pool as well. These guys here by now playing for $25 in Division 2, next to the seats for Division 1 next season. So thanks to all of you there for the support. You can find the link in the description on YouTube or in the chat right now in Twitch. And yeah, we're gonna go here into Bendover versus Joker, game number 2. And that 6 US here, coming around a lot more than I expected this season, and with decently success so far as well. What do you think about this matchup, though?
Yeah, so 4th Poland being one of the more impoverished countries in Europe, at least, and in the game, at least until the Spanish get added in with the next expansion. Poland doesn't have that much of fancy stuff, so Forged Mech has been kind of a punchline since Northag released. But more recently, people have been innovating on it. Skific especially has been finding out ways to basically use what you are given and use it quite aggressively, and basically do what I have dubbed the zero body fat or 1% body fat attacks that are dependent on good control and good decision making. And if you have that decision making, and if you have that control, and if you can get those trades with these quite cheap low tech units, some of the unit combinations will be powerful enough to carry you through quite a long way. The Polish have a lot of nice stuff, such as the 9-man WSW military police squad. Their their Persi units also have AT weapons, which is nice. They have a lot of the coffin launchers, which are the tank-propelled short-range artillery pieces. Basically, they have a lot of cheap Malyutka and Fagot missiles, and they have like recon autocannon helicopters. And if you put vet ups with them, those things will do amazing damage. And they have the Honker Rus. The Honker Rus is the Special Forces Recon Transport, which gets Spec Ops speed, which means super speed. So people have been figuring this out, but I think 6th is going to be a really strong counter against it in some ways. I think if 4th can transition from their strong fast opener into a nice front line where the fire support of the cheap BMP-1s, the
Close
T-55...
fight there. The LRS...
Oh no, they dropped. Yes, sorry.
The Specialny nearly got the LRS there in the transport. And yeah, Malyutka is pushing forward. Pechota's coming in here in big numbers as well, following all of this up. And ooh, the Specialny versus LRS. The LRS actually winning, thanks to the sniper rifle there. And yeah, important victory there for Bendover, as the LRS with their good spotting capabilities, pretty important for all of this, whilst the Navy SEALs here keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, this is the prime territory for the Navy SEALs. I have a feeling that without active fire support, nothing can break through here. The T-55 AS2 is firing its big gun, the launcher, but is firing it at the airborne Dragon, not Navy SEAL team. Okay, now retargeting it against the Navy SEAls. It takes...
It can get one-shotted by the ITOs though, and we saw a kill.
Ooh!
Navy SEAL nearly going down now, but the OSA already went down behind all of this, and that allows potential air spam here against all of this. The T-55AS, pretty important. Resupply on that would be pretty nice. Issue with the T-55As, really, in this matchup, they get one-shotted by everything. Everything is a TOW 2 on the other side, so everything one-shots you, and you don't have smoke. I don't believe the T-55A is the right tank for this map in the matchup, outside of maybe the far north. So, surprised to see them here in these numbers.
Yeah, I think the T-55A is, as you said, it is a very powerful fire support unit, and I think the idea was here that if you can get a point by spending these cheap units against the enemy's more expensive units, you can maybe transition into a more solid game with a wider front line later on, where your enemy, having the more specialized and more expensive units, will not necessarily be able to do that. But yeah, even 2 Meridas getting bought, and these are bought at veterancy too, which means that getting those kills will be even more significant. Even though you do get a lot of the Meridas, they are 125 points. They won't protect against TOW 2s.
Yeah, they at least can survive a hit though, unlike the T-55A. They have a smoke, and they can get back at the ITO and TOW 2 units on the other side from a decent range. But the push in the north here by Joker is an interesting choice. I kind of like it. Pathfinder versus Specialny in the north. Pretty close fight there, but the BMPs should decide it for the Specialny. And the other push towards Delta is putting some interesting pressure here on Ben as well. Though the loss at Bravo, a bit harsh here for Joker. And Joker will have to find a way on how to get out of that without losing the middle around Charlie and Bravo completely. But the flanking attack in the north, assisted by those honkers with a Dushka and its ZTR 23 yachts, is an interesting idea. I am looking forward to see how far they can push this whole shenanigans, as that is a potential for getting the lead after all. First CV only now arriving on the battlefield, a +4 here for Bendover for a while already. But yeah, Joker is going, as you said, 0 body fat, just keeping the pressure up.
Yeah, the Honker Rus Spec Ops with the 3 veterancy, you can bring this the Ros Specialne at 3 or 2 vet. and they are spec ops, of course, so they have been chosen to be brought in their assault configuration with the maximum veterancy and limited numbers. But the Honkarus machine guns, like those things easily beat the Vulcan air defense system by just suppressing it and firing at it so quickly and so accurately. The machine guns and autocannons in this game gain so much, the 50 cal machine guns gain so much stat bonus from veterancy that the Honkers, much like the Delta Humvees, just really do seem worth it. And the Rospecialne for 45 points is still, even after its power, is actually expendable. It's not the biggest deal if you lose it. And there are the cheaper Zmodzviat and the rest of the troops out there, the PSNR recon cars that can actually do the recon task. So if you lose the four-man squad, it's a shame, but it's not everything. Now, losing larger engagements, that's not something that you can really do, and the T-55s need to be trading up. And right now they are facing down the M48 Patton, which is armed with this is breaking the rules of the game, bringing out 2 modern shells. You can't have 19 pen at 105 cannons. Come on, you're supposed to be playing with older tanks. Bending the rules a little bit here on the wargaming side, but yeah, those things will beat the T-55s, especially on defense.
Yeah, but the Merida actually has a pretty decent matchup against it. It has better accuracy, and it has the decent frontal armor there on top as well. Against the normal T-55s, it's a different story. But having no smoke on the M48s is an issue there. A-10 coming around, trying to find some kills there. Osa is back in business though, but the AS goes down. Can the Osa find a second missile? 2 missiles of the Osas would be a kill. Yes, it does. That's a trade. T-55 AS. Yes, it's painful to lose that, but it's absolutely okay if you get an AT plane there, because there's only so many planes that Bendover can efficiently use here against those mechanized units. And if you can kill the clusters, if you can kill the AT planes, then you are absolutely in the money. There's only about 6 of them most likely in the air tap that we will see here from Bendover, and one of them is down already.
The Honkarus is dueling another Vulcan air defense system. It managed to almost destroy its transport, managed to stun it, and no, the Vats does get the kill in the end, but just insane power here. Prowler coming in to hunt down those Osas, but Osa is turned off and the Strela 1 is fired at it, achieving most likely about 10 to 12 accuracy. Osa doing a good damage against the Veteran Eagle though.
Yeah, we have an interesting Fagot there in the middle as well. Might get a VADS as well. Oh, misses it. Second one coming around. Bendover not microing so far. Got a T-55 AM Merida though with the Navy SEALs, so a trade there that is okay as well. And we have a Corsair coming in, trying to go deep. Doesn't quite hit the tanks though, and the Osa might get that one as well. 2 T-55s down. The Merida does die in the end after all, but another important plane down here, and you get more tanks as the Polish than the enemy gets planes, so yeah, trading 1-to-1 there, really not the worst. The VADS though, that one got pretty deep now, and there is a Humvee tow now that can be gnarly against the Malyutkas as well, so yeah, Joker having the longer reinforcement road there, that's a problem here at this moment.
Yeah, the Joker's flank is so extremely open, but this is actually not the worst thing when you're playing against 6th US. 6th US is a close-range division, and on the attack, it really can't do long-range attacks, not even against like a single Merida. They would require air assets, or they would have to deal with it by microing Humvees or using smoke or something. They just don't have the tanks to do the kind of casual pushing that you can do with other divisions. So all the points are being spent to actually counterfight the side here. The Navy SEALs were microed against the two squads of Polish infantry. The RPO launchers managed to drive them back, but they are still in fighting shape. they have so much damage that they need to be outnumbered significantly. And Joker is bringing out the Piechota Schmeck at Veterancy 2, which is the way that you play this kind of aggro. Oh, the Corsair going out there and taking out the BMP leader. That is massive. Prowler not getting the harm fired off, but
the also ran out of ammo before the Prowler was in range. Going actually pretty low there against the guns as it flew pretty close on top of them, but will make it out alive. But the BMP1 kill there, that is pretty helpful at keeping the +1 take. And this is a slow take map. It's not a fast one. It's slightly faster because it has a couple more zones towards the center, and it also has uneven numbers, so you have a tick usually going on it compared to Black Forest. But the maximum on it is even lower, with only 7 points on the whole map. Not the biggest fan. I think Echo and Alpha should be +2 zones, but it is what it is. And this here now, with the counter push from Bendover, is going to stabilize at this +1 most likely. There's no real way for Joker into Bravo or Charlie at the moment. So it is pushing there for Delta, and if Delta doesn't fall, then Joker has a bit of a problem.
Yeah, Alaskan Cavalry Scouts doing amazing work here. They vetted up reserve recon squads, opening up with the RCL and stunning down the Piechota SVD even before the fighting happened. Excellent usage of this very esoteric units here, the high vet reserve recon units. Now, Joker has brought out artillery. This is a World War II era piece, ML20, I believe, and is buying just standard infantry Piechota Smeks, and has a force of a couple of the AS ones, couple of the coffin launchers, and a Merida, and a second Merida on the different part of the plateau. None of this is massive enough here, but if the artillery can actually break through a couple of key units, something could happen. Now, round 2 with the Piechota SVD going against the Alaskan Cavalry Scouts with the artillery and BRDM support, but now the ACAV is joining in and opening fire against the infantry. And every moment here is just more and more reinforcements coming. There are NG rifles, there are 13-man infantry squads, there are AGLs. I really think that push against that Navy SEAL, if Joker had managed to get into Delta, actually managed to prevent the infantry reinforcements, I think he could have held it. But now that the Deltas were not driven off, I think this is a slow roll to victory for Bendover, unless Joker manages to get some really nice series of coffin launcher shots, or maybe the helicopters actually manage to avoid the enemy air.
Yeah, Mi-24 DC in the middle, trying to come around, trying to help out. The 152mm still doing a decent job here, getting a kill. The AS trying to help out against Bendover's tank there too. Only stunning it down though, not getting the kill as they don't get the right hit, and the Mi-24 DC here falling back, trying to get the reload. And yeah, it seems like Joker doesn't quite get in here, and the reinforcements number is now starting to become an issue, though we have a bit of a push into the middle. Corsair HE trying to come in. The AA numbers here on the battlefield, not bad against it, but also not great. So it would be a bit of a risk. Oh, it goes for the next BMP. The BMP1 being targeted here. The AA not really in position, and it seems like this might get the BMP1 here before it can get into the zone. Strelas, ZSUs trying to come around, but the Corsair gets the kill. No retaliation there. Prowler comes around as well, and does get out without being hit. And this is an issue here for the 4th mech. The air-to-air planes, not the greatest. Obviously against F-15s, you don't want to risk that too much. And the ground AA is basically OSAS. The Strela one's not really reliable, but yeah, seems like after the lose of the CV here, yeah, it's a Joker charge surrender. They were behind 700 points on the battlefield. They were behind in points, and the position wasn't looking all that hot either. And Bendover is going to move on into the second phase. It's slightly early surrender because I think there is a position in the late game where you have an advantage, but this map just doesn't give you that much tick. We have seen that before. We have seen that with Lathrans yesterday. So even if you can grind it out, and Fourth can grind it out a bit better, it's still a problem there.
Yeah, maybe the tank tab just didn't have stuff anymore, and not enough to actually amount a late game breakthrough. But yeah, pour one out for the continuous all in, the attack that really just needs to get some results. The losing all the MI24 MI2 urns that are up vetted, which means that their cannons are actually very powerful and they're quite cheap for the price that they get. Losing them all to the Eagle, the Rozpecialne managed to fight off pretty valiantly, but it's not like they managed to get some amazing game-winning early kills. The point of the Rozpecialne is that you put them into places where they're unexpected so that they can kill the enemy units while they're in transport. And that way they already paid for themselves multiple times over. And it not just in points, but in tactical value. And yeah, the fact that the air game went so reliably one way, and that even when the OSAs could fight back, the OSAs were just never enough. The air tab is a good example of what I mean, or the air game here is a good example of what I mean when you do the 1% body fat. You don't have any extra. If you lose units in the opener and you don't immediately trade up, you will start lacking in like basic stuff such as the anti-air, and that's not the way to keep up the all-in. There is no way to, or barely any way, for a division like Force Mech to actually come back in the late game, and that is its trade-off for having nice key units such as the Rose Specialny, the MI2 urns, the AA gun with the attached Strela, the 25% BMP1, which is situationally nice, and the coffin launchers, of course. But it is not a division for everyone, but I'm really happy to see it getting played on this level, considering it was a butt of so many jokes earlier.
Yeah, the slight buffs that it received, especially the OSA, but also the Merida buff, helped it out a decent bit. And yeah, it maybe could use 1 or 2 slight buffs in the future, but it is getting into a more decent spot. Though I'm more surprised to see how successful 6th US has been this season. And Bendover making it work here once more. Moving on into the semi-final with it. And that in clean fashion here, getting 2 wins in this one. Moving on to his group mate in the quarterfinals with the next game here, as we're gonna go into Doozy versus Jeremy, and that is going to be an interesting one here in the next quarterfinal, deciding who moves on there. 2 content creators here, Doozy having a nice YouTube channel, Jeremy obviously being known for getting a lot of streaming in lately, and that will be a hot one. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna go into Jeremy versus Doozy here.
Yeah, and congratulations for Bendover. It is so difficult to branch out from porn.
Yeah, getting something up after that career is. And here we go into the second game of the day here. And we have Jeremy on the right side here. Jeremy ZXCV versus Doozy. And we have 2 meta divisions here duking it out. Second UK, a division with insane stats in the league so far. 75% win rate versus 35 VDV, a division that we haven't seen quite as much, but it has a pretty strong record as well. And yeah, we are going in here into a hot match on a not so hot map. Two Lakes it is once more. Yeah, these players complain about it all the time as well, but they don't seem to be able to get away from it. And what do you think about this 4 deploy matchup that we have developing here so far?
So the reason why Second UK is so dominant on this map and so many other maps is that it has some of the best openers in the game with the SAS getting out there. An SAS squad has a 71% accuracy stinger that they carry around for them. They also have 80 force, which is more than enough for the opener. They have amazing infantry weapons, and they got 8 health. And with their veterancy, they're very difficult to pin down. The only way to actually get rid of them is to engage them with vehicles outside of the 700-800 meter range. And what you also need to have them spotted, which is quite difficult if you turn off the light machine guns, which means that they won't automatically open fire until the enemy is quite close at 500 meters. SAS, just good unit, expensive but fast deployed and good. And you can get like 3 of them out there. It's a big investment, and if it gets directly hit by a bomber, you can lose, well, most of your opener. But if the bomber doesn't immediately hit, it's most likely going to be hit by at least 1, most likely 2 of the super accurate stingers. And behind the SAS, the British can bring out a very wide front of good infantry and way more tanks than anything that a VDV division could bring. So this actually puts Second UK in this matchup as the heavier division, the division that benefits from a longer game and more passive playstyle. So even with the SAS opener, 35th is put into the aggression. And the SAS opener is expensive, so they can't push to the southern town. But in the southern town, Jeremy is investing very heavily into conquering it via force, getting a bunch of Desert Niki Metis, BMD2 supplies, anti-air, and 2 Spetsnaz squads. And if the Soviet forces don't get a solid hold on Emma, the northern town, could be captured and held by a more heavier opponent. And if there is something that airborne divisions cannot do, that is attack in the mid to late game. They have very limited amount of mech, only with the BMD2s, and the BMD2s will lose in 1v1 fights against the British option, the Warrior IFV, not to mention the challengers, which will be able to, at long range, pick out basically everything, despite their slow rate of fire. And I think if Jeremy loses Emma, and in the overinvestment into capturing the southern position will go largely unused. And this might just become a slow defensive game for Second UK, which they will happily play against this division. They have the better support, the better artillery, the better mech.
There is a decent force still going north, though. Spetsnaz are fantastic CQC special forces as well. They outperform 1v1 versus an SAS in a town fight. Both have good submachine guns, but what the Spetsnaz bring to the table are high suppression RPOAs, and in these fights, getting stress on the enemy is pretty important. The issue here is the SAS come with 3 veterancy, the Spetsnaz in this case only with 2, so the Bellejour there coming in quickly actually is pretty important. We have some 30mm grenade launchers in here as well. That could be important. We have the BRD BTR Scratch, which can be pretty helpful as well. And the BMP2D as well. So there is some decent fire support. The Foxes on the other side, obviously, not something to underestimate either. But the Spetsnaz, they will be key here. Getting their RPOs here out onto the target. SAS taking decent stress damage. But yeah, here we go. And one Spetsnaz currently engaging 2 SAS. That's not perfect, as Saxon's helping out there from the rear as well. And the Spetsnaz not being up-vetted here either. So they are only 2 vet versus the 3 vet. And with special forces, that matters extra, because their trade actually gets better with every level of veterancy as well. So the Spetsnaz here losing that fight. With their high level of, or high HP, they can disengage decently here. But still struggling against the SAS nonetheless. The BTRs maybe should get involved. BMD2 there versus the Foxes. 1v1 would be easy. 1v2 not so much. But it still at least kills one of the Foxes. That's a good trade already. But more BMD2s here coming in quickly, as they are needed here at Emma. Situation critical, but not lost for Jeremy just yet.
Yeah, a little detail is that the Decisive BMD is the only infantry unit with AT weapons. So if the Decisive BMD goes down, the Saxons can just drive in the town and park themselves next to the Spetsnaz.
Yeah, but
Oh,
BMD got the kills on both of those foxes. The Saxons trying to come around, but the BTRs here actually being able to deal decent damage against the Saxons as well. It's not doing it quickly, but it does it reliably. And yeah, those 23 millimeters here with the HE damage coming in nicely. The reinforcements coming in with the Dejan supply trucks, but the Spetsnaz got killed just before that. Saxons here trying to get on top. Good rescue of the Belojor, but the Scrats desperately try to kill off as much ground units as possible. Good fire support here, but the Saxons here are a problem.
yeah, in the early game, Aim Juicy spotted the deployment with the Gazelle, and I think this led to the first minute reinforcements being immediately infantry deployment. And now we're seeing the 3 minutes in, we're seeing motorized air mobiles, vetted up motorized air mobiles actually, as well as the armored rifles with the Warrior Milans come in here. The Warrior Milans are more than enough to fight against the BMD2s when they are supported by a bunch of extra ATGMs, such as the Hellarm with its primitive yet effective tow missile, and the Hellarm AH7, which is the ITO, which I think will one-shot. No, I think the standard tow will also one-shot these. They are such light vehicles. Now, the entrance is still open for Jeremy, but the entrance will be covered right now only from the top, where the Warrior Milans will likely go and try to attack the reinforcement route, but also later, after some time, from the south. And even if you keep the ability to enter the town, but you're under threat, your fire support is constantly under threat from an enemy that is hidden and in cover and has better recon than you, then your infantry attacks will just trade down, because they will be done on Aim-Juice's turns.
And here we go, team in place, coming in with a lovely raid, just as the Hellarms here trying to get the fight in. We have, thanks you for the raid there, guys, and here we go, a big struggle. Dejaniki is going in, Scrat's coming up. We have 200 point advantage for the 35th here of Jeremy, but it's going to be tough to get back into this town. There are a decent amount of forces coming in. Nikki's in decent numbers. They all have the shock trade, so they have a slight advantage against the average British infantry there that doesn't have it in the town fights with that. But the double MG on the armored rifles does give them a decent capability in those fights as well. The sniper rifle on the other side, not half bad either, but it's going to be tough to break this. And the Hellarm's actually a pretty good addition. The BMD2s, they don't have smoke, they can't protect themselves there, and the BTRs don't quite have the range there. Iglas now finally coming in, they do it a bit better, but the infantry position here in the town for the 2nd UK is pretty decent, and the tick stopped, and 35th here really wants to get back in here.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Air Raid Siren covered this up, but basically I was explaining that the north and south positions of the right side entrance are very important if you actually want to win this. This Spetsnaz Sniper taking this position and thus preventing an enemy recon unit or ATGM from marching towards it, and allowing for basically practical map control for the moment is very crucial. If the attack is only happening at the entrance, the northwestern fire support can threaten the infantry reinforcements, and which means that the Desantniki, which is happening now, will try to deploy from the southern entrance of the town. And Aim Juicy will likely want to try to capture the southern entrance somehow. And I'm not sure right now he understands that there is a Spetsnaz sniper there. It is not, but the SAS is maybe yeah, the SAS I think will spot this, so infantry will likely be put into cover the southern entrance as well. But so far, I think this is going to be a fight about these entrances, and the north side, this North Forest, despite being a bad entrance, is still very important strategically.
Yes, the Fagot ATGM there, pretty important. Getting another kill on to the enemy warriors. Really, really key unit there. Can one-shot those warriors exactly. But on the other side, the Lynx is, as I said, pretty key as well. And the Lynx is actually even being able to eat a single Igla makes them quite versatile as well, as the gun AA doesn't quite have the range to deal with them. In the middle, the Scrats keeping the SAS from completely occupying the border of the town, but yeah, interesting artillery fight now on both sides. Nonna on one side, and the amazing, for this matchup, M107s here on the other side. Big 175mm guns with good damage output, and it seems like the Decisive really struggle to get in here, especially against low hit point units like the Decisive. Those artillery pieces can be really devastating. BMD2s here, not numerous enough to finish off SAS before they can be rotated around. And that is a problem here, because with supply trucks, those infantry units in the town here can be kept alive forever. And having to fight with normal infantry into special forces all the game long, that's not going to be a good trade.
Yeah, the Desert Nikki have worse stats for the same price than the armored rifles, and will lose every fight unless they are in touching distance, I think, every equal fight, because in the touching distance, shock might give them enough of a damage boost. The 175mm howitzers coming in for Aim Juicy are a really nice buy here. Aim Juicy has been keeping the front line of the SAS up and alive so well that you can afford to have these sort of early extra heavy investments, such as the double upwetted. Actually, I don't think they're double upwetted. Yeah, no, they're standard wet. The heavy howitzers. The Nonas will be part of the pressure here, but if the Nonas hit, that means that the British infantry needs to be microed back to the supply, and if the British guns hit, it means something likely dies. Conqueror's taking out, or not taking out a Warrior Milan, but the first challenger actually coming in here, and now the scouts might start pushing the southern side with enough mech to fight this off. And if the southern entrance is captured, especially if the recon and or challenger gets in there, that will threaten the attack significantly, and I doubt Zerami will be able to keep up the attack after that. Now, I think they agree, because there are 4 BMD2s.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yes.
There is to be a potential for the deep dive here into Paul, and that could swing this whole game into a different direction. If those BMD2s go for an attack and capture that +2 zone in the rear, then you can't just ignore the northern point. You can't just ignore Emma, get the take there, and force the second UK to attack into you. But getting there is easier said than done. We see Scrats pushing over the open on its own, getting sniped by the Rover Milan, as yeah, Jeremy is fishing for something here. And that's going to be interesting. Counter-artillery not hitting the Nonna, good micro there. The north is falling asleep a bit. A couple of units here off the right side still will fall, but we see BTRs moving around. We see Mi-24s coming in for the south, and yeah, this is a real push going to happen here now. Question is, how quick can the second UK react, and can this actually get into the rear with enough units that it can then defend it against counterattacks? There is an Mi-24, but there are 2 Javelins here already ready. There is an Airmobile, there are some ATGM vehicles, and obviously the reinforcement for the blue side way closer than any further reinforcements for the red side. Helicopter goes down. MiG-29, damaged, but can go out.
Yeah, now the BMD2 does have 60 kph, but so it can micro with good enough line of sight against the Milan missile, but it doesn't have the smoke, so the speed is way less relevant when it comes to actually surviving those hits. And yeah, the Phantoms diving against these are the Phantoms without the guns, so they're very, quite inefficient diving against helicopters, but taking out the Mi-24 uh, we is probably enough, considering now the Strela 1 with its 4 inaccurate and quickly fired missiles has run out. There is no supply close by, and AIM-Juice is going to have helicopters covering this. And yeah, the southern attack is under complete recon coverage from AIM-Juice's scouts, and that is just more than necessary for AIM-Juice to play around this.
Yes, Gazelle rockets here coming in as well. BMD2 number is pretty low. We see armored rifles in the north fishing around as well. Mduzi got into the rear zone in Anna, achieving that with the push around with armored rifles. SAS trying to get in there too. So Mduzi way more successful with their counter push than what Jeremy was achieving so far in the south, and that is a problem. Spetsnaz went down, scouts here having it all spotted. Gazelle's able to keep it all back, as you said, not enough AA there, and the northern push here, the warriors actually might kill the Dejaniki before they can unload, and that would be pretty bloody as well, as those are the only units that can really defend Anna, and yes, that happens as well. So good trades there for Amduzi all the way, as the southern push just not going to move anywhere.
Look at how useless the 500-meter AT weapons are. The worst AT weapon for infantry is the one that is never fired, and you're paying extra for the 20 pen of the 500 meter 500-meter round. It's just not a good choice. The Desantniki, if it had a second machine gun, if it had like an extra guy, it could be nice. But the single machine gun and the 500-meter range, and then for 45 points, it's one of the worst, not the worst, but worst units that the 35th has. And even then, completely serviceable. The Desantniki BMD is significantly better, I think, with the SPD.
That was a nice fishing move here by Jeremy, trying to go through the center, but the Rover Milan still had one Milan 2 left, and it got the Bellajor before it could sneak into Leonid. Nice idea there, that as that was completely open. Outside of that, one Milan 2 still in the Rover Milan. If the Rover Milan would have been out of ammo, that would have most likely worked and put up at least a slight bit more pressure. I don't think it would have been a massive game changer at this current position, but it at least would have made AMDuzi react to it, buy a bit of time, get a bit of confusion in the whole shenanigans, and maybe buy a bit of extra points that you could leverage in the late game. But the current situation here, not great for 35th, though if there's a division that can ATGM wall, it's 35th, and he achieves the same against the CV of AMDuzi, killing it on transport here with a Conqueror's UATs. So at least getting one CV for his own loss there. And yeah, AMDuzi keeping up the pressure with the SAS in the north, keeping up there with tracked rapiers so that the Mi-24 for a second time can't just blow it up with rockets. So infantry has to deal with the SAS, and as I talked about that earlier, it's not great to do that with non-special forces infantry.
Yeah, you need to engage them in a preferential engagement. If you try to go toe-to-toe, and the SAS stats will just eat you. And the fact that the SAS is so good at dealing with air support, helicopters, bombers, basically limits 35th more than a lot of the other divisions. They can't. The BMD2s are of course nice, but this being second UK, BMDs are at risk.
The MiG-25 didn't drop its bombs. I'm not quite sure what happened. It targeted the ground, but it didn't drop its bombs. Those 800 kilogram bombs would have been real nice on top of these two SAS here. Instead, the two SAS are still around. The MiG-25 is not. It's blown into smithereens there on the ground, whilst We have the KPV still around. We have Dejanikis here still in decent numbers. The Mi-24 is nice. You get really nice helicopters in that deck in general. And the BMDs, at least, plus a lot of Conquerors, plus the AT guns. Like, you have some annoying stuff, but you just lose against SAS right now.
Yeah, the aimed use is just playing this exactly as you're supposed to play this, as the division that scales better. You play slowly, you play methodically, you try to get a wide front where your heavier equipment, such as the artillery and the challengers and the anti-air FSB-1s, can actually perform well. You try to, and when you are doing close range engagements, you use the specialized units, use the SAS to do that. And when you are trying to get a breakthrough, you send in a quick response or a quick reinforcement group, and we are seeing it in the form of 3 air mobiles with the 3 Lynx rockets. And there are 2 Decisive E-class right now, and is there a Scratchet? I don't see one, and I think those 3 Lynxes might actually just blow through the E-class.
Yeah,
They
most
are not
likely.
in cover right now.
There is no AA around. There is not enough BMD2s to really get the kills there either on these guys, especially as those are still dueling the Foxes. The D44 might help out there, but the Eagles just get hit pretty badly there. The airmobiles struggling, might get shut down. One of them goes down. That's a helpful kill, as the Eagles try to disengage there whilst reloading, but rockets still flying on top of them. Airmobiles getting in. The MiG-25 at least blew up the SAS, but not before going down to both Stingers hitting it in return. And that means 2 MiG-25 bombers here down for only achieving a kill on 2 SAS. That's not a good trade. Nonna trying to get involved there against the airmobiles, but they will most likely get into Anna. Yeah, this is not the most cost-efficient trade here right now. We have 216 points here on the scoreboard. Next plane going down, hunting for Lynx rockets. That's not great either. The AA setup here still too strong with javelins and tractor piers in good numbers, and the forces here of 35 falling apart. It's not getting the quick game, the annoying game that it wants to get, and that's an issue. But yeah, I also feel like this is not quite how you want to play on 2 lakes, so 35th maybe not the perfect pick for this matchup.
Yeah, it's it is the opener. I saw it in the eyes of my soul that when all of those units were going down south and AIM-Juicy wasn't investing any of it. That's when I knew. That's when I knew the fact that if you deploy all of those units out there, you're not gonna be able to efficiently do anything with them, and that's really about it. I hate to complain about 2 lakes, but there are reasons to do so.
We have Dejaniki getting pushed forward, mod airmobiles coming on, getting the capture. Or at least getting the foot in there. There's still Spetsnaz Comrade on the other side. Mi-24 VP trying to move forward, but it's only a single helicopter against a lot of AA on the other side. It's a good-looking helicopter. For some reason, I really like the look of the Mi-24. Those little wings just make it look pretty cool, but it's not going to be enough when the tractor appears and javelins start knocking. And the BMD-2s, as you said earlier, outclassed by the Warriors in gunfights, and the Warriors keep on pushing through as well here.
I think it reminds me, the coloring of the Mi-24 reminds me of like a chocolate vanilla morning pudding, you know, for children.
Yeah.
What's the one with the cow where they have the stip? Do you guys have that? Is that a German thing?
Yeah, I think it's a German. Paula. Paula is the cow.
Paula, yes, that one. The vanilla Paula.
Spetsnaz airmobiles coming around, getting some shots here. For everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, this is what we are talking about. Good old German Dr. Oetker stuff. And airmobile getting some hits back here, getting some damage. And yeah, the Nonnas here desperately trying to find some hits as well. but not quite capable. Thessaloniki being pushed back, having to retreat, and the +4 here is real now, and that's going to not stop at this point. Like, there is no push here in this, and there we go. GGB called here, and AM Doozy taking up the 1-0.
Yeah. So how's it going on? That sure was a two legs game. The heavier Division 1, largely because it was given a really nice opener, and the SAS were kept alive for so long that any amount of Soviet infantry reinforcements or attacks could never actually achieve supremacy, because they were going to face a constantly reviving force of British elite troops, as well as a constantly replenishing force of fire support that generally in other matchups is quite mediocre, but in this matchup was overwhelming due to the fact that it was against an airborne division. The SAS discourage helicopter and early air usage for a good reason. Phantoms are really nice against enemy bombers for the price. You don't pay extra for the gun, and you get 8 missiles. The second UK is a good division, and that's really about it. You get you give the good engagements, and then you start having a little bit too many points, and then you invest all of those points into heavy artillery, which means that the enemy turtling will be negated once you get your cheap recon infantry to push forwards, and what Zeremy could do there was putting Desantniki BMD like in defensive tasks, because there were no other units. The Desantniki BMD were completely bypassed, most of them, by the mech attack, because the actual attack that went through was the one with the infantry. And but all of those Desantniki had to be outside of the zone, on the southwest of the eastern backpoint, because there were challengers around, and if you don't have anything to stop them, the challengers could just break through. And it sure was a two legs game.
Yeah, there was a 2-minute stretch between minute 4 and 6 where there was 10 units dying on the red side without a single kill achieved by the red side, just shortly after the town was cleared. And one more Spetsnaz in the northern town, and this whole game might have looked a good bit different, but the slight misreading of the situation early on, and the slight mispositioning in the opener did lead this whole thing to derail quite quickly. So GGP here to AM Doozy, and yeah, well played with the second UK. Going to be interesting to see what we go into in the second game. After a short break here, we're gonna go into that one as AM Doozy on match ball here in this best of 3. And here we return, game number 2, on a much more interesting map. And I would say just a spiritual follow-up to Two Lakes, but made way more interesting, as we have Mount River coming in here with two divisions that are really interesting as well. And we have on the left side AM Doozy with the 20th Panzerna, maybe the hottest thing for Pact coming out of Norfolk, with T-72s, great forward deployment or recon deployment with fast honker Rus. And on the other side, we have one of the OG divisions and the OG spam division here with the Kampfgruppen der Arbeiterklasse Bezirk Erfurt, aka KDA, coming in with a lot of Kampfgruppen der Arbeiterklasse Schützen, and those will be trying to get through here. It's can be played pretty heavily mechanized with the T-62s, which with their ATGM especially can be pretty dangerous, but it seems like we get the low to the ground KDA here, which is going to be interesting how that performs against the T-72s, and especially against the pretty heavy recon deployment here with all those special forces recons that you get as the 20th Panzerna.
Yeah, unlike in the earlier games, we're not seeing the recon getting bought at maximum veterancy. We are seeing maximum numbers. We are seeing both the Ros Specialne with the RPG-7 VLs and a bunch of infantry weapons, and we're seeing the ground surveillance radar variant with the Komars and a couple of machine guns, which is a 3-man squad. But I think the main unit here is the Honker Rus. They're gonna honk all the way to having a forward deployment. Forward deployment advantage, knowing that KDA recon is lackluster in fighting positions. KDA recon is supposed to be out there throwing dice about whether it's going to be killed by something random, while spotting for the artillery, for the fagots, and for the T-62s. And we're seeing an opener here coming with T-55s all ready for fire support. And this is the kind of stuff that can actually do a lot of damage against the KDA. The KDA squads, despite having 14-man squads, have the worst possible debuffs and stats regarding veterancy. So if the KDA units are under fire, even by a older tank gun, even by some machine gun fire, some 50 cals, those effects are going to multiply by the sheer fact that these are 14-man squads.
Yeah, and then on the other side, T-55As here coming in is an interesting decision against the T-62s. Going low through the ground on both sides, that is. Saperji, really solid recon in CQC infantry here as well, that if it can get into satchel charge, can hold its ground against the KDA as well. But yeah, the KDA plus the command Ushlenia is pretty interesting here.
The Commendatura, the new unit, right?
Yeah, the rename naming process there happened for historical accuracy reasons. We are not quite in World War II anymore. The Stalinist system of fighting the early stages of World War II are not quite the right place for 1989. So Eugen reacted there to the feedback, changed the name to something more befitting, and yeah, it's going to be interesting here how this all goes. KDA Schützen pushing in towards the center point here, whilst on the other side, the amount of honkers honking in here. It's going to be interesting how much territory they can grab and how they hold up against the human wave here. 30mm grenade launcher behind all of that, cheap ATGMs, the Buk out immediately as well, so no air spam potential here really for the 20th Panzerna. The same can't be said for KDA. They have good air spam capabilities, and the base AA for 20th Panzerna not bad, but it's only the Coupe, not quite the Buk level.
Yeah, so the heavy mortar for the KDA is already smoking out, doing a increasingly more popular blocking smoke to allow their troops to get into the zone here. So you can make sure that if there is a spam of like your ATGMs, if there's a tank or something, that it can't really do anything for here. The Mi-8TB is under grave danger by the Strela and needs to move around, but all the rest of the KDAs, the grenade machine guns, all got in. But speaking of got in, the Rospecialne and Honker Rus are opening fire. The Fagot here is in a bad position. It could actually do a lot of damage, and even the 23mm flak guns here are in range to possibly target and are destroying the Honker Rus. Oh, the Honkers are fighting back valiantly, but they're not getting microed.
Yeah, getting a kill on one of them. The Mi-8 here, pretty important as well, taking out Special Forces recon units, and yeah, the AA guns here on the other side, getting some kills, getting killed off as well, but blue side using their recon units here that are pretty expensive and relatively low in numbers. KDA Schützen still alive in the north. They will try to push forward. The Mi-8 here, a really great investment. The Strela 10M not fast enough to follow it up against it just yet. And the Scott 2A here on the front line is a nice fire support unit, helping out against the ZU-23 there on the ground. KDA Schützen getting pushed back by the Saperji as they get stressed out quite quickly there without any military police unit close by. So it seems like AMDUZ is going to get the north, but the Mi-8 at least tries to make it balanced in kills there until this comes around, and it's doing a decent job so far. And Jeremy is fine with giving up the north as they control the center point here.
Yeah, the smoke cover is still going on, and we are actually seeing an interesting form of counterattack here with two Salamandra helicopters getting bought by getting bought by Inducy, and I think those might not be in the right place at the right time. The Strelas will be, they're actually going in almost into Strela range. The Strela just moves slightly, but there is a T-55AS at the Coffin launcher, as well as a BMP-1 squad going, actually joining north. I don't know what those salamanders are about. Maybe these are defensive salamanders, but those salamanders could be an expensive free loss here for 70 points per helicopter. They are very vulnerable to the Strelas.
Yes, we see smoke still coming in there, still keeping the KDA Schützen safe from any retaliation from longer ranges, but there aren't even any real tanks around there for that smoke to be relevant. T-55AS coming in now, and now finally the first T-72s arriving, but yeah, it was a pretty low to the ground opener here from the 20th Panzerno. One of the reasons why that division is so nice, that it can play that low to the ground game, whilst also then having a strong mid-tier. Doesn't quite have the higher mid-tier that a 9th Panzer division gets, but it is cheaper and more flexible in the opener. And that is the nice thing. MiG-27 AT coming around in the north. Will try to find the T-55s. Has to be careful with the coup. Gets a kill there on the T-55 and gets out without damage. But the coup is a dangerous unit and you kind of want to get rid of it. There are a good amount of tools that can do that. You have the Malka, you have the long-range AT with rockets as well. If you want to go there, the Euroguns can do that too. But so far, it's a fight in the north now between tanks, T-55 winning against the T-54, Conquerors still being involved, Mi-24. It seems like Jeremy wants to get in there pretty soon.
Yeah, the KDA needs to exploit the few advantages that they have, because they cannot scale in this matchup. They could maybe try to scale against if they had enough points more than 115, and if they were not playing against such an aggressive and efficient tank division as we're seeing here, the twin MiG-21 bombers, one of them going down, and second one getting hounded by a MiG-23. But having these 150-point fast, reliable killers, having the salamanders out there, having the ability to bring out both T-55s for infantry support and the T-72s for tanking, and then having a decent enough infantry tab to fight off the KDA Schützen, which doesn't need that much, but there are divisions that just can't handle the spam. So the KDA need to be coming at the points immediately. The KDA Führer is coming in to give them some bonuses and capture the Anna zone. We don't see the politically correct blocking troops, the not Zagradotriar, but actually the commander's troops this time, pointing the designated marksman rifle at the back of your head while you're attacking. And and this will give a slight amount of boost as for the points lead, but Aim-Ducy Aim-Ducy's T-72 is arriving here. There is only a single AT weapon, which is down the middle, and the AT planes might be coming out if the seed gets a hit.
Seed is pretty important, gets the kill there on the coup. This is big. Yeah, now the plane spam is enabled. Plane and artillery spam, like you said, there is no long game wave. That's true for the frontline units, but you have the support in KDA that can get you into late game more so than in like an airborne division and so on. You have fantastic artillery and you have a deep air tap. And if you can get rid of the coups, then that air tap is enabled. Those MiG-25s and Co can come, MiG-21s and Co can come in. Malka now arriving onto the battlefield as well. That can be pretty gnarly. We have on the other side Adana, which is not a bad artillery piece either, though they have pretty low range, and pretty low range means also pretty big spread on max range, so they have to get a bit closer to be efficient here. But the Mi-8s here still keeping on the rocket fight. KDA versus Sapierzy Sztomowi in the north. The BMPs and Scots there, pretty annoying. The decent fire support here from Aim-Ducy's forces, winning the fight against the KDA Schützen handily, as there is no real damage dealer here on KDA's side. There's only bullet sponges, but no real fighting force. KDA's, without any support, they don't deal much damage. They need veterancy, they need the military police to keep them from routing basically on the first bullet flying by. Otherwise, their DPS tanks so quickly that the enemy here can just take these long range engagements and not take any real damage from these long range shots.
Yeah, it's for their own good. We need to have these guys around, the police, I mean. But I digress with the with the KDA getting completely routed here. But the air game here will maybe able to doing a really good hit, not a crucial at this point, but a really good hit from Zeremis MiG-21 going out there and pushing 2 of those infantry units back. Like you said, the path to counterplay has been achieved by that seed plane. The fact that the T-72 and the T-55s objectively just have to play more carefully, knowing that there might be a plane coming in there. They cannot afford to risk them yet. And the Malka getting a really nice hit on the very predictable location at the silo tower, putting some pressure back onto AIM-Juicy. AIM-Juicy does have 2 of those Dana guns, and the Danas have 6-round salvo, so they will be really nice against these larger squads. They can bring out a lot of damage, and they're so fast that they're difficult to counter battery. And but so far it seems like with the helicopter reinforcement, the grenade machine gun, and the seed plane getting out here, and the first tank for ZXTVs there a defense might be formulating itself. Might be.
Yes.
A coup has been bought though.
+2 here is pretty nice. Yeah, coup is coming around, but the SU-24 is a great seed plane. It has 60% ECM, it has a pretty good seed missile as well, okay accuracy, good range on the KH-28, and you have 2 of them that you can bring around to allow your air spam to continue its action. The KDA is here a bit stacked, so the Danas can get a lot of damage, but so can the Malka here in hits against the Sturmovi. As, a lot of MiG-21s coming along actually. Some of them hunting helicopters, but the Buk is on fire, as it is a 55% base range accuracy, 6,000 meter range AA piece, and it just gets 2 snipes here, up to 1 vet with that, going on and getting some nice kills here against the enemy planes. 2 MiG-21s down, as with range scaling on this map, if the enemy comes closer to you, this thing goes up in accuracy real quick and goes with closer to 70% accuracy missiles. So MiG-21s that get one-shotted by it are just absolute breakfast for it.
Yeah, can I just point out that those Salamandras have been sitting in the location they were ordered in since the start? I don't know if AIM-Juicy thought that there was something going on that wasn't, maybe a breakthrough or something, and those were just out there to care. But yeah, considering the lack of AA here for the Salamandras could actually be doing good work shooting some cannons up here against these KDA buildings. Now the formation is moving in. There is a wounded PMP and a T-72 as well as the coffin launcher. The coffin launcher will be extra dangerous with all of these large squads so close to each other. And now with the Comandatura Usilenia removing the veteran, the debuff, as well as giving their buff, and the KDA if we're leading, the KDA troops should be overperforming right now. They should be maximum performing, actually.
And the big thing is that the coup got sniped, Strela got just bombed, got killed as well, T-72 went down to a MiG-27, 1 MiG-21 bomber went down, but that's a amazing trade when you get 2 AA pieces and one of the best tanks here that the Polish can bring to the battlefield, sniped on the... It's good in points, it's good in just trading assets. There aren't that many coups, and the coup is the most important part of the AA defense here. The Dana's doing a good job blowing stuff up, T-62 went down and so on, but those air units really getting enabled here, and the Danas are not doing better than the Malka on the other side, so yeah, sure, they're doing their job, but when the enemy has artillery and air coming in against you, cost efficiency is going to be hard to achieve in the long run when you don't get those kills on the front line, and the T-55AS here did a good one, but it's not quite there just yet. And the 400 points advantage here for Jeremy is already pretty impactful, and it's going to be more soon as the KDA Führer are going for the capture, and there's nothing here really on the front line right now for Hemdusi that can change that.
Yeah, Jeremy actually pushing the northern flank with 2 BTRs. There being nothing there that could have effectively fight against them. And MiG-21 is going out there without a target. I think it might have lost its target, and the Book gets a free kill. That's a really nice unit to remove at this position. Now, the Danas are still firing at the position, but at least the KDA are upvetted right now, so they can actually receive the order and move off. And in the end, if you lose them, it is still just a 45-point squad. Both forces left bloody, one due to the fire support, the KDA and the KDA having the helicopters and the Poles having the coffin launchers. But so far, Jeremy's slow advantage of 400 points is increasing, and with the siege planes getting some reliable results out here, and the Malkas now counter-targeting the Danas, and the Danas not moving anywhere, good engagements seem to be happening slowly for KDA. They just can't afford to lose any extra airplanes. They can't afford to lose the seed. They really can't afford to lose the AT planes. And if at all possible, they should try to put themselves in positions to avoid fighting the tanks like they are doing right now, with the BMPs and T-55 just getting free damage done. Danas do move out, getting a little bit scared, but not taking any damage. And reinforcements for Jeremy are KDA, Fagots, and T-62s. And this is a decent defensive matchup. Will it be enough to keep the Poles away from this little patch of forest and road? I don't know. But it could be.
Yes, and Malka not getting hit on the Dana because of the good speed of the Danas. Really nice platform there for those guns as well. We have the T-72s coming up in numbers, and they have great frontal armor. They only take 1 damage from the missiles by the T-62s, so that's a bit of an issue here. The T-62s not really able to use their good range here up north, whilst the Strelas also might be able to push back the helicopters here on the side quite easily. Strela getting another missile out, getting hit on both the Mi-8 and the Mi-24. So those are both back. And yeah, it's going to go down to KDAs just being sponges and Malka and Air doing their job. So far, the hits of the Air Force doing a good amount of work, but the blue forces here now coming in at much bigger numbers, and we are not even quite halfway through this game, so the potential here for the Polish to get those ticks back that we have seen from Jeremy so far, absolutely possible.
Yeah, aimed UC getting this forest back means that the next attacks, there's going to be a significant fire support advantage due to being able to fire at the entrance of the Jeremy side of the zone, being able to spot it with infantry or recon, and being able to have the tanks cover it is huge. It prevents any breakthroughs, and it threatens reinforcements, forces them to deploy further away. But right now, tactically moving away, and I really like this, making sure to engage at maximum possible range, just not giving them anything, not giving them any chances, not giving the Malaka a chance to target the position, which is what it did, and is currently firing right this second. The KDA are sponging up a lot of the damage, and is it worth for the +2? It might. It might, but if there really comes a nice mechanized counterattack...
We see a Smirch! I was saying Uragan earlier, I was meaning the Smirch, and the Smirch fired its first couple of 4 rockets here into the T-72s, got a good amount of damage there. If it can follow up that shot with a second one, if the next 4 rockets can hit like that again, this might be pretty deadly for the T-72s. They have to get out there, they have to get repaired as soon as possible. Luckily for them, a Mi-8 here arriving, though unfortunately for the Mi-8, it might just really locate where those units will get repaired. And if this Merch is aiming right now, it could get even more kills with that shot, but currently not being used here. Jeremy didn't quite follow that up, I guess, so the T-72s will get repaired for now. But yeah, clumping up your tanks at any moment now for AIM-Doozy could be really, really costly.
Yeah, Aim Juicy needs to like activate a consumable to increase his tank micro right now. Like this is a time to start moving, getting some extra orders in, increase the APM, just make sure that the stuff is not visible, because the Schmerch is such a huge threat. It's if you get a couple of those shots in, that might mean that the next engagement the tanks are going to lose. The T-62s are not good enough to fight the T-72s head on, unless the T-72s have been wounded or suppressed. Just a couple of hits out there and a Bastion follow-up, you get a stun, and then you get some extra hits, and damn, the T-72 is just gone.
Yes, Dana still getting involved. More T-72s coming in. Those are the ones without smoke. Those are just pure damage cost efficiency. Like you don't pay for the speed, you don't pay for the smoke, you just get pure raw stats. You get a good frontal armor, you get a good gun, you don't get any good range either. It's just really pure damage and armor. That's what you pay for, and that's what you get. So those ranges in the north, when they get some support by units that have smoke, when they get the setup, they really can go big as well. A decent amount of T-55s and BMP-2s getting picked off by the MiG-27 ATs here, but the amount of T-72s and BMP-2s still gets pretty scary here. Ooh, MiG-27 finds another kill here, doesn't go down to the AA missiles, and artillery from the Malka still doing good amount of damage. The Smirch got its shots in here as well, helping out with those kills that we just saw on the top right. And yeah, blue side still has to do the damage, though they might be able to do that.
Yeah, KDA Machine seems to have finally gotten online with the Smirch on board and the 3 AT planes out there and this very wide front relative to this map, of course, because they're also engaging from the middle and they have the MT here to cover it up with the Bastion missile, taking out the Honker Rus right now. With this, KDA strengths are revealing themselves. It is going to be quite difficult to punch through all of this stuff. You could have punched through part of it, and with enough tanks, you could punch through all of it. But if you want to punch through all of it with your tanks, you're going to have to clump your tanks. You're going to have to put your tanks into places where they are very at risk from massed air attacks as well as the artillery. And that is just the place where KDA can really start punishing them. And it's not like the Poles have run out of tanks yet. The T-72s, as you said, are in here, and they do have the 50 cals, and they do have 10 health at the very least. The Piekota Mech are getting killed on the open ground by the KDA, and I think as the KDA get another military police unit, they might be pushing back there once again. If these next engagements go badly and Aim Juicy keeps trading down, the problem might become unmanageable.
Yes, the air issue is significant. There's 2 coups finally coming in again. These need to be microed, because the air spam here currently just is attritioning away AIM-Juicy's forces like crazy. The T-72 numbers here coming up quite nicely as well. MiG-27, MAT getting into the action here as well. And yeah, decent missiles flying out again. MiG-21, ooh, going real deep. Not respecting the Strela 10s at all. Goes down forward, doesn't quite kill the Dana. Good reaction there by MDoozy last second, but the MiG-27 still around, killing off BMP-2s. The Strela 10Ms not quite having the range. The MiG-21 AAs can't do anything with the Book around. Book snipes one over half of the map. MiG-21's just not able to do anything here. Book gets another missile out, might find another one of them. No, this time not quite, but yeah, the Book just so scary, allowing all these attack planes here to run in, as there's no long-range fighter for the 20th Panzer.
Yeah, the Polish tanks have been routed now. Once again, there is a nice front line. The Bastion missiles are numerous. The packs, the MT-12 Rapiras have good stealth, so they and they also have even their cannon has really nice range and decent damage, so they can provide both HE and HE support as well as a lot of suppression for tanks that try to get close by. So far the Polish tank force that earlier on, like 3 T-72s, would have been unstoppable. Right now, getting even more T-72s seems to be more of a risk, because on this slight angle, in this small angle, you're gonna just need to be clumping them up. And as we can see, the Smirch is once again aiming right at the position where the tanks escaped. The KDA shoots them from long away, actually spotting them, I think, and
the coup is there as well. This could be devastating. T-72 is getting hit. Book is going down to one salvo if that hits. So, yeah, currently the shots are not landing on targets. T-72 stay alive just for now. But Smirch doing a bit more damage, stunning them further. +2 is going to come back, and the AT planes just did enough damage here, I believe. The AA not attritioning them away. And yeah, you are allowed to lose a T-72 against a AT plane. You are allowed to lose some BMP2s against the AT planes, but that's only if you kill the AT plane in return, and that just didn't happen. The planes of Jeremy just didn't die in the last couple of minutes, and now the Seed even comes around, gets another coup, making it even more unlikely that that is going to happen. The Seed plane goes down, but the MiG-27 here, following it up, even hunting down the Strellas here, gets the Strela killed, and yeah, will get out alive. So the A umbrella here is basically disappearing. Cluster artillery coming in once more. Not quite on target here. Hitting too far north in its circle, but this is just a disaster here right now. KDA shoots and pushing on their own. The Polish not having the infantry to really duel against us. And the MiG-27 still keep on finding value without getting even hurt this time around.
Yeah, the only way for Aim Juicy to bring out enough firepower to actually stop this is to be at risk of the Smirch and the air attacks. And if they want to push too far, if they get a couple of kills and they want to start exploiting these kills and push 500 meters further, there could be a dozen missiles flying at them at any second. And when you only have a single smoke per 3 T-72s, those things are going to be spending a lot of the time outside of the fighting. Another coffin launcher is coming in, and it's going to come in sometime. The coffin launcher really could have been very useful right here. The Scott 2As with their machine guns will be doing damage. The Saperzi will be engaging here. But oh no, the T-62s are now actually in an offensive position, targeting the Scots, and T-72s opening fire back, destroying one of the...
Winning the trade. They have the autoloader, they have the better frontal armor and the better gun as well. So the T-62s here not quite able to win that fight against the 10mm bigger, more modern gun there that is on the T-62s. Those shells a good bit more capable. But that's not what they need to do at this moment in time. They just need to keep the T-62s busy so that bombers and co can do the job. Coop goes down here to the AT plane, I believe it was, and that means that there is no long-range AA here on the battlefield anymore for Aim Juicy. The MiG-21 at least kills the MiG-21 HE, but the T-72s are incapable of fighting back. We are about to get to a +4 here, and it looks like we are about to go into a game 3 with that as well.
Yeah, this has been really nice. I don't think Aim Juicy played this badly. I don't think any major mistakes were made. Of course, overextensions were made, but overextensions are always going to be made, especially when people play with the groups of mech and against defensive lines. That's just the way things go. But yeah, no like huge major mistakes here. I think the immediate change in the game when the Smirch came out and when the planes got out is something that all of us can recognize if we have faced good KDA players on ranked. The moment when you see that group of 3 AT planes fly around there, you know you're in trouble, because that's when the KDA player has figured that they have enough of the meat on board, and now all the rest of the game is just taking out your expensive units so that the cheap stuff will eventually prevail. And even here we have seen that even the unbuffed, the unpoliced KDAs in numbers are just too much to beat.
Yes, and the long-range ATGMs here from both the Rapira 100mm AT guns and the T62s also just completely smashing that desperation push into the middle. AMD knew that they needed a Hail Mary push. Like, this game was not going their way. They decided to try it in the middle, but KDA just has too much cost-efficient stuff that it can just throw around and sprinkle on the battlefield, and you ain't gonna just push through that with a Hail Mary push, and that's exactly what happened here. It just got completely disintegrated, and yep, I am pretty sure that we will go into game number 3 in 3 minutes at the latest here, as this game is pretty much over, but I'm pretty happy with that, as these two have had pretty good matches so far. Like, they play pretty clean games, but one of them just has it slightly better down in their game plan. And yeah, if there was a big mistake by MDC in this game, it was the AA setup. You have to rely on the ground AA setup, and that means you have to micro that with the most amount of micro that you can put into it, as otherwise those seaplanes will get you, and then you're just open to what KDA can do to you. And Jeremy realized that and did it to the perfect stage, nearly getting a 2-1 KD here in the end, and getting the W, and getting us to game number 3.
So Protoss, how does one counter KDA? Is asked of you in the chat. You are the KDA master here. I personally have not played a single rank game of KDA, I believe.
Well, you need to get their air under control. You need to keep your AA moving. You need to, as I said, attrition away their planes, like killing a plane here, killing a plane there. If they can get up to their 9-plane full roster on the bottom left that comes in every 2 minutes and kills off 3-4 of your units, you're in trouble. And that didn't happen here. The Coops and Strellas just not able to kill off the MiG-21s, especially not killing off the AT planes, the MiG-27s here. And then you are in a world of pain, and losing 6 planes of your own to the Book, that's the difference here. Like, trying to air spam KDA, that's not going to work. Those HE MiG-21s really shouldn't have been bought, and the AA ones are questionable as well. Those maybe should have been more Coops and Strellas, really, to have a big phalanx of AA. And then you can do on the ground what was attempted. Like, if you get the air under control, those BMP2s, those T-72s would have just pushed through, but with half of them dying to air missiles, that's not going to happen. Obviously, we have to be careful against the in the infantry fights as well, as if you leave your infantry out there against a mega blob of KDA shots, and you're gonna lose them as well. But it's mostly about the mech here just falling apart.
Yeah, if you in standard micro, a lot of people, especially on the lower levels, will send these KDA and Kometatura groups with like 2 and 1 or 3 and 1. And if you can do that, you should that if you're going to counter those, you should at least try to send your good infantry, such as like engineers, to go and kill the military police first. This might cause the KDA to join hands with their comrades on the other side of the line and pull down their oppressors. And but in the end, in the end, the main thing you want to do is you don't want to allow them to gain enough points to have the Malka, to have the Smirch, to have the supply for all of this stuff, and to have the continuous supply of the planes. You want to be, as you said, attritioning the air away. If you do some damage to a plane, that means that the enemy might not have the right amount of planes for their attack, and they might do the attack with limited amount of support. Maybe you got too many kills on their tanks and they had to rebuy them, so they're not going to have the Malka up. If you killed like a couple of extra planes and they had to rebuy the planes, maybe there is a gap in their ATGM defense. But if you allow them to play slowly, play carefully, and choose their engagements in the way that Jeremy did very well in this game, they're gonna look unstoppable.
Yeah, and that said, guys, these are 2 great games, so I'm really hyped for game number 3, and I'm pretty happy that we get there, as we're gonna have another game number 3 here, decider game between AMGZ and Jeremy here, deciding who moves on to the semifinals. So let us get into the quick break, and then we're gonna be back with the final game of the day and the decider game in this series. So here we return, everybody. Game number 3, the decider between AMDZ and Jeremy, aka ZXCVster, and it's going to be on Black Forest. Hell yeah, it's going to be in an exciting matchup as well. But before we jump in there, quick shout out to next weekend, where we're gonna have a 2v2 tournament. So if you don't like to be a loner like those 1v1 dudes here, but you still want to get some competitive action in, join us next Saturday. There is going to be a 2v2 Swiss format tournament, which means that if you sign up, you will be able to play the whole 6 hours, 5 rounds. You will get 5 good games of 2v2 action going in, as there is no elimination in the Swiss format, and it's getting better and better in the matchups as well, as you are going to play against players all with same performances in the previous rounds. So if you sign up, 5 good games of 2v2 coming in, and if you sign up today, you also will be able to participate in the vote for the maps, as this is a community tournament, so the players in it will also vote the maps that we will play in it. And yeah, get your friends, join us on Saturday for some hot action. We have a good amount of teams already, still some slots open though, and yeah, let's get there. And let's talk about the hot action in front of us here. AMDZ versus CVXter with 5th Plane Day versus 4th Mordschützen. And what kind of 4th Mordschützen push do we have coming up here?
We are having a all-in forward deployment infantry opener into one zone and a full-on forward deployment defensive opener on the other. Most likely to start pushing in after the MI2, depending on what the MI2 information brings in. There is also, looking at Fedor, which is the more defensive push. There is an MI-24D Hind, older model gunship going on out there, which could do incredible damage potentially to some very expensive French special forces recon units, as well as even take out a Surblinde. This means that if AIM-Juicy lacks air cover, AA, or a fighter, likely a Mirage F1 or something, maybe even a Mirage 3, which is a little bit cheaper nowadays, there could be a massive opening for 4th Moto to take 2 zones. The 3rd zone, the so-called center zone up north, which is a sawmill, will kind of automatically go to the player with the better forward deployment opener. And Jeremy has got a two unit minimal task force to secure it and to be fortified later and be used as an potential attack vector towards Anna. But yeah, nobody is actually going to be stupid enough to do a French infantry attack at Boris in the opener. So the French are going to try to play this carefully, investing a lot into recon. Funnily enough, the Alouette 3, a rare case in this game in which a French unit is the same price but worse than a comparable unit. It's slower than the MI2, but yeah, the French units are not going to be out there en masse. The French units are going to be dependent on fire support, including the AMX-10s, including the VABs and the AMX-30s. The French units are going to have to play defensively, which is not something you really want to do when you have more expensive and also like recon heavy division. And this could be a situation in which this massed amount of Strelas, which will likely come and counter the helicopter-based attacks of 4th Moto, will have AIM-Juicy lose air superiority, crucially early on, and allow for the 4th Moto to keep up their attack. They can send in quite good T-55 AM2s with the Bastions if there need to be tank fights, but most likely I think AIM-Juicy just wants to keep the infantry in Boris going towards Anna, and I think this the ambushing of the enemy air and the enemy helicopters strategy might actually do this.
Yes, there are no fast ground AA units here. There's only a roll on 2, so the AMXs will have to give territory to the Mi-24 if the Strelas can keep off Mirage 3s, and they should be able to do Mirage 3 only has 8 hit points, so 2 Strela hits and it goes down. And these Strelas come with max veterancy, so they actually go up to 50% accuracy. MI2s, they're coming in good numbers. And yeah, the MX10 is super important to gain ground with 5th Plane Day, but they are not capable of shooting down a helicopter. They don't have an autocannon, unlike something like a Fox or so. So they're really pretty much defenseless against the Mi-24. So this is an interesting and cool way of trying to do this opener. And it's going to be interesting to see if it works out. AMX-10 hot and the AMX-30s all pretty capable. The Grenadier Voltigeurs can hold on decent amounts as well. And if you get a decent amount of MX-30s around, then this game will be pretty uncomfortable for the East Germans here. But if you can get the push through in the early game, that doesn't matter. MiG-29 here to help out against any possible Mirage 3 openers as well. And I really like the base idea here of Jeremy's play. And the Roland 2 might be just too slow here for getting the opener done. It's changed to a Roland 3. That's at least a better AA piece. But that doesn't change anything about how oppressive this Mi-24 will be here.
It is also seedable, and I believe fourth moto does get seed right.
Yes, they get an SU-22 seed if they want to. Though I don't believe that's something that you want to invest early on here, as you just need every bit of ground mass that you can get to keep this wave going. Maybe getting some more helicopters online as well. But yeah, MiG-29 also handy here to take away some vision from the enemy, killing off some alouettes. And the Mi-24 is here coming in right now, and it's going to be a groan moment here. Like, MDoozy will see that and will be like, that's going to be painful.
Yeah, a fun fact about the Mi-24, it's actually really fast. At 270 kph, it's so fast that it overtook the Mi-2s, despite the Mi-2s having forward deployment. Now, AMX-10s revealing themselves, and Dragon Paras revealing themselves with their gunfire, giving Jeremy basically perfect information, best possible information here, with the helicopter still staying around and seeing the VAPs. The Mirage gets a really good hit against the MiG-29, giving a chance for it to dive now, but this is the time for the forward deployment AA to actually strike against this 20 ECM aircraft.
Ooh, they don't get any hits on. Mirage able to hold on. The Mi-24 actually gets pushed back, so the opener not going as well as hoped here by Jeremy. The MiG-29 not getting a shot against the Mirage is pretty painful. And the Strelas here only getting a single hit. 6 Strelas fired, only a single hit. Mirage able to get out alive. And that is actually a pretty big collapse here of what Jeremy hoped for, most likely. And I believe MDoozy is still in a fine spot. Yes, Jeremy will be able to get into center eventually, but he didn't get Feodor. That was what was hoped for here, most likely. Instead, the AMX-30s and AMX-10 have arrived, and now the painful part of playing against 5th Plane Day will start.
Yeah. Now, the rocket plane is trying to go after Roland, does not see it, and actually gets hit by it while doing nice damage to the Grenadier Voltigeur, but that is not really relevant here, as it gets taken out without a single kill here. The Strelas, when the Strelas fired, I was doing the meme about the NASA guy throwing his headset off, basically. Like, this is the such investment into the elite anti-air forward deployment, and just does not pay off. So many points, but these are only Strela 2s. There are only 30-point units, and now the seed plane is out here. The seed plane is 240 points, so you can buy it with 1 minute's income, which is quite nice. And it does fire, and it does hit, and now suddenly the defensive forces here, not in the best possible position, but the Fagots are powerful against all French vehicles. Mi-2s provide you great coverage. There's a Moto Aufklärer that can push in with its excellent stealth. And there is the grenade machine gun as well as the 50 cals to fight at the infantry on long range. Now, the thing that is really needed here is a tank, and that is actually coming in form of the hyper-modernized T-55.
Yes, it's the T-55 with the ATGMs, the gun-launched ATGMs, and those are really solid against the French as well. killing off the AMX-10 one-shot, both the RCs and the Super Blinde, with only 4 frontal armor, and also being able to kill one-shot the IIV AMX-10s, and doing good damage against the AMX-30s long range as well. But AMDuzi is able to get the capture point now, has still a Mirage around, so the MiG-23BN rocket number 2 that is coming around now still might have to be careful. Gets the kill onto the 20 voltages there, but has to get out before the Mirage can come around. I wonder when Jeremy will lock down center. BRMP1 already on the way there, but I believe you might want to use 1 or 2 more units there just to fully lock it down, but at the moment, obviously every unit that you can invest into the south is a helpful one, and you don't want to waste it on useless points.
I think Jeremy is predicting correctly that AimJuicy realizes this is the important engagement and that this needs to be where the points are going right now. Any points going at any other parts of the map than either the southern engagement or the northern or the middle containment, and those are the important ones. And the threat here posed by Port Moto, really nice Mirage.
Yeah, really good play there with the Su-22 first as well, as it is the higher ECM plane, so engaging it with an air-to-air plane, not efficient, but you can't ignore it either, as it has air-to-air missiles, it has 30mm guns, so the Mirage had to try to run away, but it tried to bait them over to Roland, but Roland only able to get one hit. On the other side though, T-55 getting killed off by the AMXs in the south, getting ambushed, getting killed there. So it's once more Jeremy's air versus AMDuzi's ground, it seems to be. And let's see if he can repeat last game's successes, or if AMDuzi can get a more stable AA setup this time around and get the AMX-30 fleet to victory.
Yeah, the 35% accuracy AT missiles, doing some light threatening fireworks around the tanks or in the general direction of the tanks. The Dragon Paras are getting taken out here. They are going way too close, and I think this is a huge mistake. Losing the Dragon Paras here is going to lose the only French recon infantry right now, and as an artillery piece is being bought here, this is exactly when you don't want to lose your elite sniper rifle equipped GSR unit.
And you don't need to lose them. They have smokes, they can disengage, but yeah, they are being wasted there a bit. MiG-23 rocket still coming around. There is still a Mirage there, so that is somewhat risky business. The French missiles not the most amazing, as the Supers only have medium range for radar missiles and only 45% accuracy, but still risking it like that, not great. Meanwhile, second MiG-29 coming around now, and flying's pretty close to the Roland 2s there. Maybe just trying to spot them, but that's not going to help you with anything. Roland 2s can't be hit by seed, and it's actually currently AMDuzi up in points, but at the same time, the Fallschirmjägers have entered Anna, so some threat in that direction is still going on. Fallschirmjäger though outclassed by the Grenadier voltages there, which have the sniper rifle, so even though they're special forces, as they got hit and stressed out a bit earlier, they're not going to win that fight.
Yeah, the MiG-23 AT plane here is can actually pay itself back by hitting a single tank. There are no ways really for Jeremy to aggro against this mech force, and even pushing into the zone will just activate the French blob and have them keep on pushing. Meanwhile, aggression is really kind of warranted here, considering AimJuicy has bought 2 AMX AUF 1 artillery pieces. These are pieces with autoloaders, which means that they will have 6-round salvos, and they will be very fast with their salvos. These are also up-vetted, so they are not zero-vet, so these are perform quite excellently. One of the best SPGs in the game, and so right now aggression is warranted from the fourth. Fourth does not have artillery. It is not buying artillery right now. It is fully into the air as its fire support gimmick for the game. and the T-55 AM2s, when 2 more of them arrive to the southern front, I think there might be a push here. A Fagot getting a really crucial recon vehicle kill. 0 recon vehicle. No, actually, there's one at 1 health left, but it is not in a spotting position. Right now, if Jeremy realizes what's going on, the Moto Aufklärer could walk up there, and I don't think anything could fight it or spot it.
Yeah, infantry is on the way again, though. AMDuzi is bringing up Eclairs as well. Dragon Para is coming up as well. Mirage there going real deep. Once more flying over Strellas. And MiG-29s there getting the kill. A bit over eager there, trying to get a kill. It's not an F-15. It can't really do those deep dives. It doesn't have the ECM. It doesn't have the missiles for it. And the Jaguar there going over too many Strellas. This time around they can find the kill. Yes, it gets a Vulture Mega Leader, but the +1 is online already. And losing that important HE bomber, not sure if that's worth it. MX-1's doing their job, doing the fire support. The MX-30s on the ground doing their job as well, but I don't feel like you want to try to get into the air game here as the French. Like, your ground is just so much more efficient as in the blob than the one of the 4th, so just investing more into that, I think, is the way to go, especially if you can get the fire support from your AMX-1s. So yeah, the AMX-30s here now pushing forward. T-55s are annoying, but they can be smoked off. AMX-10P and AMX-30 went down already, though, as the Mutschützen here in a really gnarly spot with the RPGs, and the Fagots, they're not amazing ATGMs, but yeah, they're good enough against the French.
Yeah, they're really good because they force the enemy to target this with a salvo, and I mean, it's like a upvetted unit, and because it's forward deployment, so it's important in that way. But it is exactly the unit you want to have around here. Investing in anything heavier is not really sensible. The Rapiras here on the 0-vet tanks managing to trade excellently against the more veteran French tanks. The once again a Bastion missile doing half of the damage of the AMX-30. I believe this actually was spotted by the Motorschützen BTR maybe. Motorschützen BTR now actually suppressing a Dragon Para unit, and if there is there is an artillery getting bought right now, but it's nowhere near close enough to effectively RT this. But this artillery will be able to not just target the Roland 2s and force them to be constantly microed and thus visible, but also start taking out some of these recon squads that armored divisions rely on. With a recon advantage and the rage advantage with the Bastion missiles, 4th can actually fight this on some levels. Now, Gazelle cannons coming out and in force, these are upvetted, so the numbers are smaller, but the upvet does pay itself off. I think they will be able to take care of the Motorschützen BTR.
Yeah, the Rolands got rid of some AT planes here earlier, so the Rolands at least still keep that part, but the blob of the French just wasn't big enough. It couldn't one-shot the T-55s, and you couldn't keep the smoke cycling up, you couldn't keep the damage output high enough that you can just gun down a Fagot there before the missile hits. Like, with the investment into the air, I believe the slowdown on the ground for AMDuzi here is bigger than hoped for. The Gazelle Cannon with Abwehr, those are pretty strong against Mutschützen, but they're gonna get shut down by a MiG-29 flying by, and they're gonna get shot down by Strela, so I'm not quite sure that this is the unit you need here right now either. I feel like just going for the full-on plop as the French here would be the way to go, whilst keeping commandos and other strong infantry units for the town. You have your special forces there. One of the reasons why the French are so good is that just like 2nd UK, just like the 2nd Panzergrenadier, they have it all. And yeah, commandos here coming in now. But the plop is what you want to get. And the plop is not what is set up here right now for AMDuzi. So they are not in a terrible spot here right now. The AMX-1, for example, do a fantastic job. But they don't have the wrecking ball that is so scary on the battlefield just yet.
Yeah, this is there are the AMX-10Ps with the chasseurs are going into the middle, and the Brenuses are going down south. But both of these units in both positions are going to be under threat by the fact that this front line is quite wide, and there's kind of a half concave going on with Jeremy's troops taking these warehouses. Grenade machine guns and Conqueror's missiles have been ordered to put into strategic positions where they will be able to impose fire control and fire control on the French blob, thus keeping it and threatening its sides constantly, whether it be with fagots or with Conquerors now. And the Alf ones will be a huge threat, but very fortunately for Jeremy, the Alf ones are actually running out of ammunition this very second, and there is no supply coming, and no supply on the board.
Yeah, +2 is up. The French Brandis is up here on the battlefield now. 10 frontal armor, and the bricks keeping them a bit more survivable, and their main guns shredding through T-55s quite quickly as well. MiG-21 HE bombers still around, and there is still a bit of a lack of Rolands. 1 or 2 more would be helpful here really to keep this lockdown forever, but still good enough to kill the MiG-21s when they come around now. So doing a better job than last game at attritioning away the air of the enemy. And T-55s here actually getting shredded by AMX of once. This is nice. The Fagot teams here can be fired upon as well, that now reveal themselves from the north. Like the French autoloader artillery here doing a pretty good job. And currently, it's only red units dying.
Yeah, this is an excellent example of how an armored division attacks with its recon. The Eclaireur getting out there allowed the twin salvo of the Alf 1s to destroy the tank. And right now there are 2 attack planes on board here, as well as a fighter, second fighter coming out here. And this kind of speaks to me of some kind of air spam happening in just a few minutes. Oh, and the infantry attack that's going to go down and try to pressure this forest is going to be crucial. Because the infantry attack will provide the other counterpoint for all of these ATGMs out here. The bastions just tearing the French apart.
Yeah, the French get some kills on another plane though. The Roland Mistral wall cannot be underestimated at this stage. And the MX 30s at least getting rid of a couple of ATGMs in the south, but I'm wondering, the MX of 1 was planning to shoot at the Rapira earlier, but oh, it ran out of ammo. Yeah, resupply has to come in. Puma Kangaroos landing now, getting them back up to 36 shots each, as yeah, these AMX of ones are not allowed to stop shooting basically through the rest of this game. They need to keep tearing through the AT capabilities of 4th. If you run out of ATGMs here as 4th, you are cooked. The moment you don't have ATGM teams anymore, those French just will roll forward and gun down everything with autocannons.
Yeah, 2 more tanks are being bought by Jeremy, and the artillery just reached the combat zone here, targeting a Milan 2 position. And as buying the tanks kind of means, I think that this is that Jeremy is recognized that I can hold this. I have enough of a concave. I have enough stuff on board. My air has traded well enough here. I can do this thing against the French. The infantry attack down south of Fedor is extremely crucial, because if you don't have security over that zone, that means that Aim Juicy is going to have to withdraw, for instance, all of the troops that are currently repairing under the Kangaroo, the Puma Kangaroo. Because if you can't hold that, any infantry unit could just peek you and destroy you very easily. So having the map control and removing the Dragon Para here will be a huge hit against Aim Juicy, and Aim Juicy just won't be able to do these middle attacks again. And I think that is why we're seeing Aim Juicy's attention being routed to the middle in front of Boris. The artillery has been firing there for a long time, and for a good reason, but there still is a Moto Aufklärer out there, and a decent enough group of forces that can engage in infantry that breaks through. The MiG-21s have also been trading away at French infantry that have been trying to push away from the town. And there's now a gun-equipped Mi-8 helicopter as well, which will be amazing at destroying infantry if large numbers of them get pushed into any certain position. And finally, we see reinforcements going up to the north, up to center. There already was a fagot there, but now with the BTRs and the Motorschützen SV, Motorschützen, these forces can actually move around and can impose some amount of map control, and maybe, just maybe, slow down the French enough so that they won't be able to tick back into this game. But meanwhile, a massive artillery attack striking the first buildings on the Boris zone and destroying this.
And we saw some killing there of more ATGMs, so the middle is really low on ATGMs at this stage. And there are a good amount of AMX-30s already, and this is scary as heck. The SU-22 Seed here trying to come around, flies really close and really close to all the Rolands and Mistrals, gets out alive, but the MiG-21 doesn't want to follow up into that amount of AA. It will just get blown into bits, and the AMX-1s here really are the MVPs in this game. If AMDZ is going to win this game, it's based on the back of the AMX-1s. They can do so much damage. They already paid themselves off massively in this game, and they will just keep on doing that. Well, on the other side, the artillery, the 152 millimeter Acacias, not bad, but AMDZ a good bit better at dodging them. It's easier, as his units are more mobile, but Jeremy just eating it time and again from these AMX-1s, as he has low mobility ATGM teams, low hit point ATGM teams that just have to stay at important places, and if AMDZ focuses on those, he can take them out one by one. The Rapira next target here, and it's going to die. Yes, it killed another VAB, but it's a 80-point unit here, and it's going to blow up in a couple of seconds once these first two shots out of the ones have come out. MiG-21 AT here, and MiG-23 AT goes down without getting a kill. This is going to get bloody for fourth here. They have a decent 800-point advantage, but they are taking casualties.
Yeah, down south, two commandos teams are fighting valiantly against the 4 DDR troops, as well as their transports.
And the Gazelle Canons can do so much damage here. They are upvetted, and Vo introduced me to these a couple of weeks ago. Our upvetted Gazelle Canons are just such a world of difference between normal Gazelle Canons. Their DPS is quite insane, and yeah, these Motorschützen not going to go anywhere. Commandos plus Gazelle Canons will hold the line. There are no AA here, and the HE bombers shredding 2 more units. Don't think the Jaguar HE was needed. I still believe that AMDZ should not invest a single unit into air outside of some fighters, but Jaguar is still doing the job. Oh no! Oh, what was that coup snipe?
MiG-29 sending an 850-meter long-range air-to-air missile, a radar missile out there to get the kill. The French attack in the middle here is now getting into the breakthrough phase. There are enough vehicles that the DDR forces do not want to fight this directly. They are losing every singular engagement, but if they can, like the Moto-Aufklärer, get some hits into the AMX-30s, the AMX-30s don't have enough armor to actually survive them. And now it's just a time for them to attrition away. The taking away of Rapiras from the defense line has been a very valuable, very important job for AMDZ. But I'd like to say AMDZ is actually not currently. I'm happy to see that he's not doing it right now. But earlier on, and in this game as well, he has been double salvoing singular positions of relatively light units in a way that when you are firing 6 rounds per salvo, it's going to waste like 8 rounds often. And this is not, and Jeremy's artillery finally starting to get some damage done here, removing fully with numerous salvos a commando team. But right now, French bringing out their AA guns, Fagot managing to take out one from the side, forcing some map control from up top, but and T-55 AMs on 1 and 0 wet respectively. Yeah, are going to try to challenge this, and they might.
Those are the gun T-55 AM2s now. They don't have the ATGMs anymore, but they're okay in 2v1 fights against the AMXs. They have slightly better armor, but less pen, and the AMXs also have the better accuracy, and they're also the better rate of fighter, so T-55s will lose out there eventually. But they can hold on for a while, as the Commandos and Grenadier Voltigeurs are getting into the town fight here as well now. And MDC is about to stop the bleed at least, but it's only 15 minutes at this point, so MDC needs more on this battlefield. But I don't think it's that much further until there's no AT on this map anymore. And then the French can just roll through here. And that is the big danger here from Jeremy. Jeremy has to prevent the complete collapse, and the complete collapse is getting closer.
Oh, but this Fagot is in a position where the Eclaireur has not spotted it. It could actually get a huge kill on the AMX-30 right now.
It gets it nearly down. It's really low. T-55 tries to finish it up here. Eclair is pushing forward. MX-30 still not disengaging, but able to reposition the Fagot by putting it out into flames, and is able to kill it off most likely here before it can get another shot out. MX-30 will get the capture here, and that is pretty big. MX-30 is winning the gunfight against the T-55s in the northern part as well. The Brennus is just outclassing the T-55s there. Struggling to get the shots on target now, but it's blue now. The tick is stopped. The commandos pushing into the south. A capture of Feodor should come up soon. CV unit number 2 or 3 should come around already. Only one CV unit here on the battlefield right now for the blue side. That is risky and not something that you should rely on at this stage in the game. If that MX-30 goes down, and if Jeremy can get a CV into Boris again, the take rate might get out of control here. Like, too little investment into CV units is a really risky game here right now on Black Forest.
Yeah, the T-55 AM2s engaging on having their zero vet engagements on gun range against those AMX-30 Brennuses was a huge loss. The fact that these were not microed or smoked away what just made them combat ineffective so fast, and right now there's not enough supply to even repair all of them. The T-55s were crucial here, I think, because they were the one unit that can deal a lot of damage against they and the Shilka do a lot of damage against the infantry while not being really vulnerable to autocannons or all of the soft damage that can be brought out by the French. And right now, as the T-55s reinforcements are coming in, but as they have been pushed away, the infantry needs to hold the front line in these tight clumps, and the autocannons are just doing free great damage here. Not to mention the Auf 1 direct hitting.
Ooh, MiG-21's getting some Gazelle hits at least, but the planes are getting thrown away here as well. Jeremy just is in desperation mode. Jeremy just wants to buy time. I still don't get why AMDZ hasn't captured Feodor now, though. Like, I feel like AMDZ is taking too much time here at this stage. They need to get points here soon. It's 900 points advantage for Jeremy. It's only 12 minutes. That's already a +2 that you would need right now to get that many points. And a +2 is already a decent tick on this map. Getting more than that, you need to get into the rear zone. So Dimitri is where AMDZ basically needs to get already, because they don't have a second CV on the battlefield. They're not going to get Feodor in the next 2-3 minutes. So, yeah, Jeremy can already set up for just defending that point desperately. And that is always a bad setup for anybody. Having to push into the rear zones here lets you taking risks that you really don't want to take. So I really don't get why MDZ is not doing himself a favor and taking Feodor right now. There's basically nothing there to defend it. There are more than enough units here on the battlefield. You don't need to buy non-CV units at this stage. Yeah, AMX-30B to CV finally coming in, but this is a bit late. He still needs to get to Dimitri now, and I'm not quite sure if he can get that deep. He is about to break most of the forces here, but there are still T-55s left for now. There are still some ATGMs coming in. Even at this moment, Conqueror is still being bought, so I feel like Jeremy absolutely could hold it. And yeah, even getting the CV in here, getting the tick back online, this is really problematic for the blue team.
Yeah. The fact that despite the French pushing in and capturing the zone, there are two Bastion missiles. One of them up north of the zone with the pack MT targeting the location from which the French will enter the zone, and then there is also a second Bastion that could do that by just moving a couple of 100 meters forward and behind this building here, and they can threaten the entry point of all vehicles and units into the zone, and that means that there is going to be a wide angle of attack from both sides, which is going to be lead to more inefficient engagements for the AMX-30 specifically. The AMX-30 is being and the Conqueror's getting a direct hit on the AMX-30, and yeah, the fact that the DDR, I mean, they can replace. They can they can have a lot of cards of cheap and effective, and in this matchup, super effective ATGMs. And yeah, I mean, you can keep arting them as Aim Juicy has, and it's possible that the engagements are just quite not powerful enough. And now the artillery aiming at a grenade machine gun as well as a Conquerors. But even if those two units are removed here with these two salvos, that is not going to change anything of the actual problem, which is the wide angle of attack. I think you're correct about the pushing to Fedor. Now the Surblind has moved out and it has spotted something and it started firing specifically at the Strela 2s. And now with the AMX-2 moving up, if the one T-55 AM2B left is not going to fight those off, the incoming three weapons teams will. And I think officially Aim Juicy might have just taken too long.
Yeah, the MX-30 should get in there, taking the point. The MX-1s should be able to deal with the weapon teams as well, as the commandos are around and able to spot all of that. Can even engage the units here a bit. Though they should have pushed up that there already on their own. But yeah, the CV is not getting into the center. It's 1,100 points. He let another 200 points tick up for Jeremy here. And MX-30 CV pushing forward. The other one died in the north. There is no other CV on the battlefield. No fast CV on the battlefield. It's going to be tough here to get this. You need to get into the rear zone within the next 2 minutes here, basically, to get this tick. It's such a bad position to be in here, as you need to get that +2 zone. And yes, there is a decent amount of forces on the battlefield, but the amount of spam that the fourth can just throw at you should be enough to keep you out of that rear zone. And this is a big problem for our player in blue. Stopping the tick again, but yeah, another MX-30 CV now only being bought way too late here in this game. The KD will be in favor of the blue team in the end, but I fear the points might not be, as the Conquerors here flying in against the MX-30s. And yeah, Trinity Voltages pushing forward, AMX-1 demolishing things, but this is not going to be easy. They need to get through here right now, right here, and there's just still too many ATGMs.
Yeah, and just as the infantry finally loses, all of the helicopters and the tanks have finally gotten supply, and now they can once again impose their will on the battlefield. And if you didn't, I'm not sure if you know this, but there's a BMP-1 of Jeremy actually going and trying to go and backcap the town zone. So Jeremy is playing hardball here. I don't think it'll be able to fight against the AMX-10P Milan, but with a really lucky shot, maybe.
Yeah, the HGM still trying to hold on here. The MX-1s with their ammo run once more empty here. They got a couple of more good hits. One Conqueror is being pretty low. The other one killed off already, but the lack of CVs on the battlefield for Aim Juicy for so long is weird, especially as the MX-30 leaders, like, they are still capable fighting forces, so it's not like you invest into something that can't fight, but you invest into something that can capture and fight, and doing that is so late now, especially as they also buff up the rest of your AMX-30s around them, is a weird choice, as, yeah, it just took too long. 6 minutes 40. You really need to get in there into the rear and get to a +6 here by capturing all the points in the south. Then you are up to a decent amount of tick, but getting there, it's going to be insanely tough at this stage.
Yeah, this is now the 6 minutes to chew through basically everything that is left, and with the Conqueror's missiles losing their not having enough ammunition here, the BMP-1 commander losing its ammunition, and the Mi-24D losing its ammunition, it is. Oh, and the Jaguars are going out on mass, trying to get out, destroy the final tank forces here, slowing this down. But yeah, there's nothing supporting this, or nothing preventing this command unit from moving into Dimitri. The infantry has not been routed to cover it. I don't think the Motorschützen. Yeah, the Motorschützen might actually see this right this second now, but just barely. And yeah, immediately Jeremy does spy defenses there, but that is way too late. Something needs to be rerouted. It needs to be plain or and a combination with some kind of a recon that is just not available.
Yeah, but there is a BMP-1K still around that can contest the zone, and it just needs to contest it for a couple of seconds. The AMX-30B2 on the other side is coming in, but I think AIM-Doozy, it did just calculate this whole thing too close, and even with the capture of the rear zone, yeah, the BMP-1 is moving in there to contest it, keep it on a +2 instead of a +4, and that might be good enough. AT plane coming in again, if that gets the kill there, it's GG basically immediately, and it gets one AMX-30 already. That's a nice start, as there's not that much support for that AMX-30 there in the rear. The other one coming in, it's only a +3, 4 minutes 42 seconds. It's going to be close even with a +6, and the SPW still tries to go into sniping the other rear zone. There is no fast CV on the battlefield here to try to go for +8 or anything. It's really this +6 or nothing, and the BMP-1 is still there to contest the zones a bit. There is another CV infantry coming in, and yeah, it just needs to take a couple more seconds away of Tick, and this game will be Jeremy's, even with the destruction of all his forces. AIM-Doozy just not playing the point game, just not playing the win condition of WARNO, and that gets punished.
Yeah, the artillery getting direct hits on the AMX-30, and the AMX-30 is going to be pushed to leave. And this means that it is now on the range of the pack MT-12 up north. The
no.
MT-12 in a bad position and did not fire immediately there, but it is still potentially imposing the danger.
And the BMP-1 got in there, stopped the +6, got it down to a +5. That's a couple of points every second here that this is going on. And AIM-Doozy doesn't have room for any bit of points. It's a super clutch one. It's 200 points per minute now. With 3.5 minutes, that's not enough. And even with a +6 at this stage, I don't believe it's enough. Even if he has a +6 from here on to the rest of the game, I don't think it's enough. I think Jeremy still wins this. And yeah, it might look unfair because Jeremy got completely broken in the end, but he played the win condition. He played the early game. He did what needed to be done to get this through, and AIM-Doozy just slept a bit on how to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, this was an amazing game here. I think we saw so many different parts. With the opener, the emotional roller coaster with all the Strelas missing, and then still managing to build up into the air game with the taking down the Roland 3. And this was I believe, the last Roland 3 we saw. We haven't seen any radar AA afterwards. Having to deal with AIM-Doozy being very disciplined and not buying the stuff that requires extra micro. But maybe this if that first hit hadn't connected, maybe if the Rolands had managed to get a line of AA pieces out there. Maybe if the engagements where the fighter bombers came in and stunned the tanks and forced them to push back, giving Jeremy once again more time to rebuild. A lot of things could have gone differently. And we can't, especially in the start when all of this RNG was happening. I think this end game here shows that there are multiple ways to come back into games. There are multiple ways to come back even from actual game mistakes and not just from RNG. I do think people do complain a bit too much about RNG. I understand that is a natural reaction, we impose religion and magic on the things that we cannot control. But we shouldn't really believe in RNGesus and his wrath, because we can actually control the RNG in this game. At least we can control how much we rely on the RNG. And having good air micro, as we saw, repeatedly playing it correctly with the seed plane, repeatedly sending the planes reliably in a correct order, that is not something that I personally know how to do, so I respect it.
And yeah, MX30 is here, desperately trying to hold the line, but it's not enough points here in the end, and Jeremy gets the W, even against the 5th plane day. That got the point, and yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for AMDoozy here, losing line of sight on that win condition, but damn, does it feel good to see 5th plane day lose. Jeremy here coming in with a hot strategy on 4th, having a bit of unfortunate luck there with the early AA engagements, but also getting through there with the seed missile, getting through with a couple of other lucky shots afterwards, and that all evened out in the end. RNG over time, just like rolling a dice, it evens out, and yeah, Jeremy just holding out barely long enough here to get this game closed down, and with that moves on to the semifinals, and that's a big achievement, as that means also moving on to Division 1 next season. So I'm pretty hyped to see another content creator up there, and obviously, like every Division 1 player, he will not play the game until the next season, as it is foretold, and just gonna be really washed up and gonna wash out again, but still good to